Graham Banks.
Yeah, Steve, how are you, sir?
Oh, Jesus.
What have
I
you
forgot to silence the timer.
I didn't hear it, so it was
Oh,
alright.
God damn it. Off to a ball terror of a start. Game of the year. It's time. It's time. It's Vader time? No, it's not. It's Game of the Year time. Game of the Year is going to be a little bit different this year.
You could say that. Quite a bit different.
Yeah, quite a bit different. So there are no categories. Well, no, that's not correct. There are at least two categories.
There are one personal category each, but there are no game-based categories. So
the closest thing to a game-based one might be I've got 10 games asterisked. That were you wondering why I'd asterisk those, or did you figure that out?
No, I'd assume it's your list of games, your personal list. But
so I've got 10 games starred on a list. Now, we're going to go through, instead of trying to pick out a bunch of games for nominations for awards and trying to then come to a decision for those awards, because let's face it, last year, at least 70 to 80% of the games in the award categories were mine. And that's a function of I play a lot of different games. I play a lot of games. And also a function of you spend a lot of time playing Satisfactory. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, it's not just that. The fact is you get 12 weeks a year off to do you don't have to work.
There is that too. That certainly helps.
That's the bit where you can play a lot more games than I ever could.
Yeah, it's great.
Because of being a teacher, you get
I think I've played maybe more games. I think maybe by volume I might have played actually a greater number of games than you have all year in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly, because you've got...
That's entirely possible.
Entirely possible. In fact, I'd be saying it's be odd if it wasn't the case, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically this is just sort of... We tweak every year, we tweak our Game of the Year to reflect the year we had of gaming. This year it's going to be quite big because we're just going to talk through those games.
This is the biggest change we've ever done.
We're not got any categories. We may go back to categories this time next year. Who knows? It'll just based on what our year of gaming is. But yeah, we've got a list of games to talk through in release order. In essence, we're close enough to it. We'll bring up that list in a moment. But yeah, so we're going to do talk about these games. We're still going to discuss things like music and gameplay and story and characters. We're just not going to give them in a separate list and trying to go 1, 2, 3 and that sort of thing. So
there are some notable games not on this big list we've got going on, and the reason I'm doing this is because people know I've got 2 screens. I've got the list on one screen, I've got our call on the other, so I can have it nice and easily referable.
Yep. So we are going to do an episode next week, which will be essentially the games that didn't get onto this list. In essence, it'll be honorable mentions, dishonorable mentions, depending on how you want to phrase them. Why did you make on the list?
Stuff like Bayonetta 3, bought it on Switch, haven't played it.
Yeah. So
because everything I heard was kind of disappointing, so I'm kind of like, I've got it, whatever. I'll get to it maybe later, or I won't. Who cares?
Yep. So should we get into the list?
I don't know. You want to talk about what we've been doing?
let's bring up the list.
Let's bring up the.
Okay, why did that do that? I've done the wrong thing.
Oh no, Graham's pressing.
Yeah, I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Still trying to learn Linux. All the learning exercise for me.
Hey, that's okay. So people will be seeing the list. Do you want to do a quick scroll down the list so people?
Yeah, so let's just say we've gone into main criteria is that in essence it should be a game released in 2022. It doesn't necessarily exclude it per se, but it does bring it into the list. So we've got a list of games.
What are the dope games we've played this year?
Regardless of when they came out, is essentially this.
Pretty much.
Most of the games we did play collectively, other than what I just highlighted at the top there, did actually come out in 2022. So it just happened to be that way, I guess. So we've got our previous 2022 games and a big-ish list of 2022 games. The yes column where it says yes, that's actually a game that we've both played. So that's
there's a few of those.
There's a few of those actually more than I would have thought there would have been. And then towards the bottom of the list we've got our various personal categories of Steve's Music of the Year, and I'm actually doing a YouTube channel of the year because I spent a lot of time watching YouTube this year. So
do you want to do them now?
We'll do them partially. We might do one of them at maybe after
even
quarter
though
of the time.
even though people can see what's on them.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah,
We'll address it properly later.
that.
All
So
right,
let's quickly
starting from
get
the start.
let's go through the 2022 games because we can probably knock them off relatively quickly. Oh, heads up, spoilers, potential spoiler alerts for stories. We're going to try our best not to, but it may happen.
Particularly for each other.
Especially for each other because
Wink, wink, wink
there's
for
games that
one
we haven't got particularly. And this podcast will be a long one. So we will we might try and put some sort of chapter notes in the chapter markers in the podcast. But we'll see how we go. So yeah, let's go on to the non-2022 games.
So yours is, you've got the first cab off the ranks with Anno 1800, a game we have just done a checkout for.
Yeah, so this game I only sort of it's been out for nearly 3 years now. April 2019, give or take, it came out. I had it installed on my machine because it was part of the Ubisoft Premiere Plus, whatever the bloody hell their service is called, where you can pay the monthly fee and get basically all their games for part of that. Had it installed months ago and just never got around to playing it. Thought, let's have a look at it. And yeah, 50 hours later, I'm still sort of playing it. So it kind of got a hooks in me a lot. I sort of didn't know what I was getting into in terms of what sort of game it was. I knew it was a sort of a management sim of some sort. But it's not a Sim City builder where you're putting down residential zones and well, you sort of are, but you're not. You're doing it very more bespoke than that. You're saying I want to build a particular type of building here, rather than just saying this is industrial and it just grows organically from that. You're putting down specific building types that are residential, commercial, utilities and services, and industrial stuff. And the way that you generate money from the citizens is not based purely just on taxes. It's based on meeting their needs and their happiness levels, and by doing that, you earn money from. So it's a interesting sort of mechanic from that perspective. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Still playing it, and we'll play it for some time because I haven't actually finished the story, quote unquote. And there's I suspect a pretty substantial sandbox mode that kicks in after the story's finished. So I'll probably keep playing for a bit long after that.
Particularly if it opens up and it sort of takes some of like a pure creative mode where it has everything unlocked and it's like, hey, go nuts, build.
Yeah, go next build. Yeah, exactly. Which is what I think it will be. But as Steve said, about a week ago, sort of early, sort of about the 20th or 22nd of January, 2023, we check out video of Anno 1800. So go check that out if you want to.
One could argue we've got a checkout of a simpler, much more cartoony version of that game come too.
Yeah, a week after that one, about a couple of days ago. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Oh man, that's what we should have put, like a top 3 most anticipated for this year at the bottom of this list.
We could do that in the next one. I reckon do that next episode when we've gone through the games that didn't make this. But yeah, we do want to do that because we do have. There are now a couple of games that weren't.
Went through.
We're through all through most of January, so we can definitely do that. So
we
next
also
one
went through Q1 last time.
Yeah. Yep.
And
we should do an overall.
Anyone who's listened to this podcast knows what my most anticipated game of this year is. It ends in a 6. The next game is one we have both played, not necessarily this year.
No.
Now, you played this in the year of release.
Mm-hmm.
For that Game of the Year podcast.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure I put it pretty... Whoops, I shouldn't do that. Just realised I keep realising I'm now sharing my screen out to everybody, so I need to do that a bit more carefully.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Because you were basically just going to show where you had it on your
I was going to look at... I honestly can't remember where I put it in my list, but I was just going to look it up quickly, so I'll do that.
Fairly high off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure it was second or third, if I recall. So yeah, keep talking from your perspective while I find this.
So
list.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, those who have been paying attention to the YouTube channel know that Friday nights I have Kicking It Old School, where basically that started as an excuse for me to play through Quake, because I'd never played through all of Quake without cheats before. Finished all the episodes, all that sort of stuff, and then I'm like, what am I going to play next? I did say I was going to play Warhammer 40k Space Marine, because the Space Marine 2 is coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Then the release date for Jedi Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Survivor? That's the new one, isn't it?
I think that sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. Star Wars Jedi Survivor was coming out March,
Mm.
about end of March this year. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to play a game to get prepped for the sequel, how about we play Jedi Fallen Order? Because I'd never played it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have at least 2 episodes prepped and ready, scheduled for the February
Mm-hmm.
of Kicking It Old School, with the new version of Kicking It Old School with Jedi Fallen Order. There is some hitchiness to it when we're talking about graphically because it's Unreal Engine, and I don't think it was particularly well optimized for PC, or at least as well as they could have.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it is a very good. I'm really enjoying the sort of. There's a Souls element to it,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like God of War. It's basically Star Wars God of War
Yeah, I can see that point. Yep.
in some regards. And I bashed my head against there's an achievement for cutting the tongue off an Odoko Blanco. I probably got the name of that wrong. I'm like, I'm going to get that. So I bashed my head against the boss version of that on that opening planet. The first opening planet that you do the exploration on.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, yeah, it's hard to do that boss fight until you build up some. So I'm going to come back. Plus, to get that achievement, I need another power. So I'm going to wait till I get that power, then come back. So yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. I think it's very good. I'm sticking with it, obviously, because I'm going to play through it for Kicking It Old School.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that'll lead nicely into Jedi Survivor, which I'm not going to play that straight away because I tend to wait at least a couple of months for new games, particularly AAA games, to get some patching to fix any stuttering issues or any bugs or anything like that come out. So it may be like, I don't know.
Having said that, that game in 2019 came out pretty solid out of the gate. It wasn't brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the shit shows that have been around in the past for sure.
Oh boy, yeah. And yeah, I dig it. Hey, next game. Oh, god damn it. So, Steam for the first time this year did basically a year in review, kind of like Spotify did. I think they called it, I can't remember what they call it. And it turns out 25% of my playtime of 2022 games was attached to Apex Legends. Now, that's without me playing any Apex Legends this 6-week break.
Yeah.
To the point where I actually uninstalled Apex Legends this morning at the time of recording. Because
mate, rest in peace.
Partly I've fallen off, and partly the now skill gap between me and everyone else is going to be really quite vast to the point where it's probably not going to be as fun. I'm falling back into fighting games because of a certain game ending with 6. So as the other Friday night game series I have started doing, Friday Night Fight Nighting. Punch. Apex, like, it had another really good year. The characters they put out, the maps they put out were done really, really well. I liked the new map, particularly with its turbo rails around the place. Like, remember zip lines and stuff in Apex?
Vaguely, yep.
Yeah, they did a map where it's basically those, but they're basically rails.
Okay.
So you can sort of zip line around the map. And it's really cool. It's really satisfying just going to the next joint. But again, like, the skill gap between me and everyone else playing it, particularly after this time, it's like, yeah, I'm going to focus on other things. And that's what I've been doing.
Yep.
The game with the next highest time sitting for me, again, if you've been listening to the podcast, shouldn't be a surprise. Forza Horizon 5 and the Hot Wheels DLC, I think that was about 18% of my game time this year on Steam was Forza Horizon 5. The Hot Wheels DLC came out a much stronger version of what was put out for 3.
3, yep.
In that, yes, you still had the tracks, but there was more room for exploration, getting off track, because some of the stuff that was hidden around, you were actually forced to get off the track or use the track as a jump and stuff like that. The balloons, the Hot Wheels sort of balloons they put up as another collectible was really entertaining. And the track design using the Hot Wheels tracks, using the Hot Wheels cars was awesome. There were a couple of little spots on tracks where I talked about this when we talked about it on the podcast, that some of the parts of track design weren't designed for specific cars, in that if you hit them at a quick enough speed, for example, you hit them in the wrong car, it'd actually dip you into the wall.
Okay, yep.
Because of curvature on the track or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
so that was frustrating, but you change car, it works fine.
Yeah, yep. That's probably true.
Forza Horizon 5 is still kicking strong.
Yeah.
What's that?
I was just saying, it's probably the right height of the vehicle that makes it sort of bottom out or something. Something like that.
That does not help either.
Yep.
They're doing a Japanese series coming up for their next series, and doing a Ken Block Memorial.
Okay. Yep.
Some Ken Block Memorial stuff too, which, given they've got a bunch of Hoonigan cars in the game and all that sort of stuff, shouldn't really be a surprise.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really good. But again, I just haven't been sticking with it because, god damn it, if it's not something that takes time away from other things. Now, next game on our list is one we have both played.
Yes, and again...
This year,
yeah. So this is... Far Lone Sales has been out for a while on PC and console, but we both played it this year. I think you probably played it first, I believe, if I recall.
Yes.
I played it early 2022. The reason why I played this game is because of the game further down that we also both played, which is the sequel to this one, called Far Changing Tides.
Exactly the same reason I played this too.
So I just played through it. It's a very simple in concept game. You're basically always moving left to right. Not always, you can go backwards, but ultimately your primary goal is to move left to right. And you're sort of controlling this sort of on-land sailboat kind of thing with wheels and a sail and stuff like that. And
it's kind of like a steamboat without steam, like a steam sailboat.
Yeah, so because
it's got the sort of wheel that makes it propel on the land.
Yeah, but it's also got a sail.
Turns into a submarine at some point. It's great.
It's great. So it's a great visual style. The game looks amazing. When we get to the sequel later on, I think that looks even better. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's a neat little game. It's probably case you probably 3 to 4 hours if you were to do it in one sitting, maybe I'd say. So it's relatively short from that perspective. Got great music, visuals, as I said, is really good. Audio is really good. The puzzles are really...
another example of you don't need like really fancy graphics techniques if you have strong art. We talked about that with the SteamWorld build demo checkout that's going up.
Yep.
It's a really strong art style.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what carries that. Not necessarily what carries it, but is what
it does,
the look and the style of it.
Yeah, it does. You could probably do that game in different art styles, but that one really suits the game itself and what you're doing with it. And the puzzles are relatively straightforward that are in it. But
yeah, I didn't feel stupid playing it, which is great.
Obviously,
do you think you could call these games like a sort of simplified walking simulator in some ways?
I mean, technically they are in a way, because you're not. So they're definitely an open world, clearly. They're not. They're kind of platformy in a way, because you are controlling a character that can platform around the environment, but it's not a platformer like an Ori is a platformer. Clearly, it's not to that level, but it has got platforming mechanics. It's also but it's not an Inside or Limbo either, because it's not. There's no enemies in the game to try and avoid. It's just you'll control the vehicle. You'll get to a certain point, do a puzzle, then keep going. There are points where you've got
puzzle components. Limbo's a really good analog, though.
To a degree, yeah.
Really good analogs, because there's no You're not talking about combat. You're talking about, like, particularly if we're comparing this to Limbo or Inside, you're talking about those side-scrolling puzzle sections.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I find, particularly Inside's puzzles were at times a bit more complicated than perhaps what I would really want. Whereas Far does a really good job of just getting to a line of complexity without going over it and making you feel like a fucking idiot because you can't figure it out.
Yeah, yep.
It does. Both of the games do a really good job of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say exactly. Yeah, Changing Tides does it to the same level as well. All right, last game of non-2022 game is obviously the game that I've been playing a lot of. I put 12 episodes of Solar Factory up for this game, which is obviously Satisfactory. I've just
How many hours total do you think you've played Satisfactory for this year? Did you write that down and
This
make note of that?
I'd have to go into the save to look at it, but it's probably
Yeah.
around. I think it's probably around the 300 to 400 mark. I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd say it's
That's a,
probably
I
around.
was I was going to guess upwards of maybe towards 5, 6.
Yeah,
But
it's probably.
yeah,
I don't
three,
think it's
four.
quite that much because I'd not played it for the last month. So I
Anno's
have
sort of Anno's eaten its
Anno's
lunch.
taken over that a bit as well. So yeah, and other games as well. But yeah, so essentially, I've never haven't fallen off it. No way, that isn't going to
No.
happen. Um,
Well, you got to the end of the you got to the content cliff
essentially
of where
the content that I can play so far, I've done.
yeah.
They're still putting out updates. They've put out update 7 just in the end of last year. They're talking about update 8 coming out soonish. I think it will be soonish. I suspect that game's going to go 1.0 this year. I suspect. Um, so yeah, so that's so yeah. So in terms of that,
I'm seeing January 2023. I mean, that's from November of last year.
what's that?
The 1.0, and I just realised we're basically in the last 3 days.
Yeah,
January,
it's not.
so
No, as I said,
that's not even close. I'll shut up.
I follow the developers, and they're not talking about that. So no, I suspect it will be this year.
I looked up just Satisfactory 1.0 release date, and I was like, oh yeah, between December 2022, January 23. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be good. Oh wait, oh shit. I just realised we're at the end of January. Oh fuck.
Yeah, no, that's nothing like what they're talking about doing. Yeah, so
Leave me alone.
Update 8's coming out in the next month or so, I suspect, and then I do think that'll go to 1.0 this year. They are
4
talking.
E3.
I don't know.
You think?
I think it'll just be this year. I suspect.
Yeah.
They're not tied to E3. They don't care about E3. So.
Oh, I was just using that as a marker of time in the
Yeah.
year.
So yeah, I suspect they'll go to 1.0 this year. They're talking lore and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be something. There's not going to be a story per se like you would in a first-person
Like
open world
Anno?
game like Anno or anything like that. I think it's going to be fairly basic. A lot of reading, I suspect, to get the lore, and it'll just be about the world that you've landed on. I suspect. I don't know. There have been things you've been able to collect throughout the entire game so far that I suspect they will now become something you can do something with. What that is, no idea. Again. But yeah, I suspect that game will go 1.0 this year. But yeah, at the moment, yeah, I'm just planning out. Episode 13 of Solar Factory will go up a couple of days after this goes live, and that'll basically set out review of what happened like last year, what I built last year, and a couple of episodes planning for the early part of this year as well. So yeah. So,
are there any projects you've got that you're working on within Satisfactory at this point? Or
yeah,
is it
so
just more,
that's what I sort of covered in the video a fair bit. Is I've got
Yep.
I've got to redo a bit of my nuclear generation power setup to make that a little bit more scalable going forward. And I've done multiple versions of a central storage hub, where basically you try and get all the materials you use to make stuff with, whether that be another buildings or other whatever's, into some massive central storage hub. So that's what I need to really build next. It's going to be the trickiest thing to build, because I have to do a lot of conveyor belt work on that one to get that sorted out, I suspect. So that's on the list to do, but that's yeah, I'm not so sure when I'll get to that. But yeah, I've got that and a couple of other bits and pieces to do. But
Right.
so at this stage, yeah, they're not talking about doing any more environmental biome changes, which they did late last year. So one entire factory I had.
What have they got on deck for that update 8? Have they mentioned what they're doing for that
Not
yet?
really.
Or?
I think most of it's just going to be bug fixes primarily, and a little bit of extra stuff. There's talk about so one big issue with the game at the moment. Well, it's not a big impact. Not big issue. It's just an issue that's been around for quite some time. Is that there are levels of belts that go from Mark 1 through to Mark 5. And you can also, with the miners and the extractors that can extract materials from the ground, there's a particular Mark 3 miner. If you put that Mark 3 miner on a pure resource node and then increase its overclock to 250%, you can actually output more materials than the fastest belt can carry.
Sweet.
So basically, you're rate limited by the belt at that point. You can't. There's no point going any further than above the maximum of the belt. So there's been this talk on their various channels they do on social media, Twitch and YouTube, about solving that problem what that looks like, I don't know. They're not really having to discuss it. They could do 2 belts, have 2 outputs, so you can then do it that way. They could make a more higher, faster belt rates, but then there's actually limitations in the engine that actually you can't do that particularly well, apparently. Or they may just.
I suppose you got to be careful.
They may also just readjust all the belt rates and make them all so that they're all line up. But then that could have a massive impact on people's massive factories that are using belts to move things a bit. So that's a pretty big change to make. But yeah,
I suppose you got to be careful with like any computational stuff you're getting that engine to do, because then you're hitting the limits of what most normal people's hardware is too.
Well, that's a part of it too. Like as I said, like the limitation of having the faster belt. That's part of the reason why they haven't done it yet. There is it's a computational, and also like if you look at the fastest belt can do 780 items a minute. That's how fast it runs.
Fuck! So you're rendering 780 plus items a minute.
Correct.
That'll tank.
So if you then had to, so the fastest rate you can actually output from the miner, that miner I was talking about, Mark 3 on a pure node, is like 1360 or something. So they could make a Mark 6 belt and make it match that rate, but I suspect the graphical requirement to do that could, as you said, could tank frame rates and stuff like that as it tries to do it. So that's what they're trying to balance as well. I suspect what they'll do is they'll just put 2 outputs on it. I suspect.
Yeah.
And then
crazy to think we've been talking about Satisfactory since 2019.
Yeah, that's when it came out as I think it was early access, still in it.
Yeah.
I didn't get into it when it came out. I came into it a bit later than that, but yeah, we've been talking about it.
You hit it maybe early 2020.
I think that's vague when I recall sort of getting into it big time. I did get it when it came out, but I didn't really do much of it. But yeah, 2020 is when I really got into it. Yeah.
You haven't changed over to the Steam version yet, have you?
No,
do they have migration yet or not?
Nah, unless they did, I might do it. But I've got my 1600 hours sitting in Epic. Why would I change? Why would I change it for that? So I think it's 1600.
I think the only game I've come close to that.
Something like that. Yeah.
The only game I've come close to 1600 hours in is Street Fighter 4 and all the various iterations of that.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, Graham.
I think it's about 1600, something like that.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. So people following along on the screen will notice I've knocked in a Steve's top 10.
Yep.
Purely because some people will notice there's some asterisks after certain game names. Graham, you're not necessarily going to do a top 10 as such because you don't necessarily have 10 games.
Yeah, essentially I've only finished one game, and we talked about already. That's Far Lone Sales. Every other game that I'll be talking about, I have started, not finished, and yeah. So to me, to put a top 10 list, it would just be a bit sort of meaningless at a point. So, so yeah.
Okay. Let's start with 2022.
Just realised.
And our first 2020... I literally just said 2022. God damn it. Our first 2022 game on this list, Nobody Saves the World, from Drinkbox Studios, the team behind Guacamelee.
Nice.
Came out on the 21st of January, and it also came out on Game Pass, which is where I played it.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like a Diablo sort of Zelda-like in some regards, but there's transformation, like character transformation that involve, like, you do that with puzzles, you do that with combat. There's certain areas only certain forms can get to, stuff like that. And it's super well designed, and it looks fucking amazing. Like, this was, as soon as I laid eyes on it, I'm writing this down for best looking, assuming we were doing a best looking at that time.
Yep.
Because, goddamn, it's so well animated. It looks fucking amazing because of that animation. And the animation and the graphics of it do a really, really good job of instilling personality into each of those forms, even though those forms are essentially the one character. That isn't even a character. It's just basically a voiceless cipher whose name is literally Nobody.
Yep.
So the title is actually literal when it's Nobody Saves the World. But it's just one of those awesome games where if you really do dig that Zelda sort of vibe, particularly old Zelda like Link to the Past, and even Zelda 1 back on the NES and all that sort of deal, that is a very good one of those.
Yep. Yep.
It is not going to crack my top 10, unfortunately. I've already got 10 games picked,
Mm-hmm.
just for the record. I just haven't put them on a list. I haven't written them down on the list yet. I'm going to do that as we go through it.
Yep.
And I'll figure out ordering a little bit later. But, man, what a dope game.
Mm.
Speaking of dope games, Strange Horticulture is a game I think you might actually really, really enjoy, Graham.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a crime mystery game. There's interspersed with you running a plant, like a nursery.
Oh, okay. So it's like a
And people bring in plants.
Yep.
Yeah, there's you're not adjusting prices, you're not doing anything like that. It's just people will come in and either go, I've got this, what the fuck is it?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm looking for this plant, can you give it to me?
Okay.
And just give you a real basic description.
Yep.
And it's your job in those moments to look through your little plant book and basically go, oh, yep, it matches this. Lovely, here, go.
Yep. Yep.
And if you screw up the guessing 3 times, you fail.
Yep.
But the fail state is literally just a puzzle. It might be rearranging a shattered mirror or something like that, and you're just back to where you were.
Oh, okay. Yep. So the
So
consequence
there isn't such a...
the consequence is low, if anything at all. Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I happened to play it at just the right time, about 4 weeks after launch, where when you actually found and identified the plant, it checkmarked it in your little guidebook.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have that at launch, which made that way easier to keep track of.
Yeah, yep.
But it was also really satisfying once I'd identified a plant, putting a little label on it saying what it is.
Yeah, yep.
So that once I knew what it was, I'd go, oh, yeah, it's that. Bang, done. Here, go. Take this, fuck off.
Yeah.
And there's a cool little black cat that hangs out on the counter and you can pat him. And there's a plush version of it coming that I've pre-ordered. Because I'm a dickhead. Speaking of dickheads, see the Biomutant dude hanging in the basketball net back there?
Mm-hmm.
I bought that when we thought Biomutant was going to be good. Turns out I was wrong on that one. Made the wrong bet there, but anyway. That's why he's in the hoop. Anyway. Sifu. Martial Arts Dark Souls.
Mm.
I think that's a fairly solid simplification of what that game is. But to expound on it further, it's basically a sort of very stereotypical martial arts story told really, really well. It's like, oh no, my master, my sensei, my spiritual guide was killed by these gang members. I'm gonna fuck them up.
Mm.
And each of the gang leaders that were part of that murder all have different sort of, for lack of a better term, abilities to make them worthy boss fights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's sort of Souls-like, and there's a roguelike element to it in that as you progress through the levels, as you die, you gain an age.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Now, the more you die before moving on to the next level, so if you die once, you add 1 year. Die twice, add 2 years, 3, etc., etc., etc. It goes up in that sort of, not exponential, whatever that word's called.
Yep.
I'm not a maths person, so I don't know. But if you beat the boss, or you get to a certain point, that counter is then reset.
Okay. Yep.
So and as you get older, you do more damage, but you have less health.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
So it's a push-pull.
Yep.
So one of the keys to it is rerunning the early levels so you can get through them as young as possible, so that when you progress through to the 3rd, 4th, 5th level, you're not as close to death, which is once you hit 70, your next death is it.
Jesus, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah. It is a bit harsh, but like if you happen to do it right, that's between 7 and 15-ish deaths.
Okay.
So it's a little more generous than it sounds.
Yep.
Early on, it's a bit of a fucker, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because it has those Souls elements. But once you get the patterns down, and once you understand the combat techniques, and you understand how each, like the memorization of the different enemies, you can then get yourself through fairly easily. There is some work to do with the bosses, obviously, but it is fairly easy to do once you know what you're doing. The last boss is a prick. In the grand tradition of From games and those sorts of games where the bosses are assholes.
Yep.
And it turns out and I said this when we talked about it on the podcast ages ago. There was one piece of evidence I had left to collect to get that achievement. I had to replay the whole game and spare all of the enemies rather than kill them. To spare all of the bosses, which it was doable, but I didn't want to do it. I was at that point. I was like, I beat this bad guy. Yes. Where do I get this last thing? Oh, I didn't get it. How do you get it? Look it up. Oh well, we're tapping out.
Yep.
We're done. That's my ankle lock. We're done.
Yep.
It's coming out on Xbox sometime early this year. I think next month. I still think it is a very, very good one of those. Like I wouldn't have put in the 15, 25 hours or so that I put in if I didn't enjoy it.
Sure.
It's just I got to that point where I damn near finished everything, and I'm like, for one thing, I'm not going to go back to it at the time. Now, will I reinstall it and then go back through and do that thing? That's entirely possible because obviously playing more from games and all that sort of stuff, I've got some of that stuff down more, so hopefully it won't be as long, and it'll be like re-experiencing it again. It's just instead of killing the bosses, I then just go, oh, no, can't kill them, gotta let them go. Spare them. Show them mercy.
Yep.
Show them light side instead of dark side. Use the Force, Luke. Hey, Graham.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Horizon?
Yeah, we should do that. Considering his next on the list, makes sense to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe we skip a few games. Fuck it. Horizon Forbidden West came out on February 18th, 2022 from Guerrilla and Sony. Did you get it on launch?
Yes. Yep.
Whereas I got mine...
I think so. I think I
got it
close,
fairly close
to
launch.
launch if I didn't get it at launch, yeah.
And you did a checkout for this? Well, we did a checkout.
We checked it, yeah.
You drove
checked it. I think I played it for probably by then. I think it might have been when we did that checkout. It's probably when I roughly fell off it, I think, for whatever reason. So
it was.
Very close to that. So I think so that was probably about 20 hours into my playthrough. I've gone back to it since. I've gone back to it in the last couple of weeks and progressed a little bit more. And I sort of came to realize, why did I drop off this? I don't know. I'm really enjoying it again, so I'm back into
Sometimes it's just time. Sometimes it's
yeah, just what happens. But that's fine. Look, the game is like visually, the game is fucking stunning in places. Like some of the vistas and shots that they produce, especially when you've got the day-night cycle and sun rising and sunset and stuff. It's just an amazing looking game.
It's a technical powerhouse, that's for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. Like visually, it's just brilliant. The music is brilliant, like it was in the first game. They've done some good changes to the basic mechanics. The big one, I think, that's a big change from the first game is that there was a limitation in that once you, for example, you pick up items in the world, that now what the game does, if you get beyond, I can't remember what the terminology they have, like there's one you're carrying the pouch, then there's your inventory, then after that, if you still pick up stuff, it goes to your stash automatically.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if you got...
is that new for this, is it?
That's new, yeah, that's a new thing.
Huh.
They didn't do that in the first game, so... Listen, I think they did, they might have added it later on as a thing, maybe when Frozen, the DLC, maybe they added it then, I don't know.
Frozen Wilds, yeah, maybe.
Maybe, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I believe that's a new thing where that'll happen. Basically, it means you go back to your stash and you can basically repopulate things. So then therefore they can just keep picking up stuff, which I think is a good thing because that's what the game sort of encourages you to do. So, so I'm nowhere near finishing this game. I'm on the. So once the game sort of opens up, that terminology, and that'll people who play the game will know what I'm referring to. You then have to go and I think you've got to get 3 pieces of
Technology
for something, which God, bloody.
They're just three. They're three. Three cores of Gaia.
Of Gaia, yeah, that's what it is. I'm just right.
And you get 3 pieces of. You get 3 items that you can use to further traverse the environment.
So, I've done one of those, and I think I'm just about to start the one that'll get me the underwater breathing one, I suspect. Based on how they're presenting the issues, the steps to complete it, I think it's going to be the underwater breathing item.
Are you out in Vegas?
Yeah, yeah.
Then
It's like
yes,
like
that
it's
is the
something to do with
underwater
something
breathing one.
sands. I think is the mission. I can't remember. Something to do with sands or
Yeah.
something. So I think
Now
it's
this is pretty great because the characters you're working with or for are fantastic fuck ups.
yeah. Like there's
They're
like there's
just
a
great bumbling dickheads who
yeah like
don't
there's like
really know what they're doing.
there's three of them. Like there's a guy that's like they're all doing theatre stuff, and
And one dude just speaks like a
yeah,
narrator of a
he just yeah, and
theatrical story the whole
it's just
time. He's
really
fucking awesome.
is a great character. Yeah, yeah. Um,
One of
yeah. So,
them's way too confident.
and the other one's completely thinks everything's a peak while we're doing this kind of stuff. They've
Yeah.
got
Oh shit! He's the financier.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, like it's like there's yeah, like sort of those characters are great. That story stuff is really good, but even some of the side stuff is just really good to do. Like there's some good stuff in
Oh,
that game. There's the side stuff which got no impact at all on the main story, but it's just really good
some of it
characters.
does later in.
Some of it does, I suspect, but yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm thoroughly back into it, thoroughly enjoying it. I would definitely I would definitely finish it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's got a lot of things. Like if we were having categories, it'd be best looking, best music, or best audio sort of thing. Even
What do
some
you make of the concept that people have where, while it's a technical masterpiece, artistically, it's kind of a shit show because it doesn't help you visually identify where you need to go or what you can climb on and all that sort of deal?
well, it does tell you that when you put in your focus, it tells you what you can climb on. So that's not true, basically. It highlights the things you can climb on and what you can't climb on. So that's not true at all. You got to go into focus to do it. So it's not just in the world normally. You've got to
Yeah.
flick on your focus, which is like thinking that what is it, left thumbstick or right thumbstick down, and that flicks on.
One of them.
Well, that's not an issue for me. The thing I do find a bit frustrating about it is like not frustrating is not the right term to use. The following objective markers is sometimes a bit weird. Is that you'll sort of be walking in direction, then all of a sudden the objective marker will sort of you got to get behind you. You go, what the? So it's a bit that's a bit odd, but I think that's probably the way that it's probably trying to make you walk on paths rather than where you just walk across, walk across this, walk in an angle rather than try and go left and right sort of thing.
Like the straightest path between 2 points is a straight line, so you walk in a straight line and then veer off that straight line to do all the side question marks that come.
Yeah,
up.
exactly. So I think that's probably what the objective markers is probably trying to keep you to safe paths or something. I don't know. I mean, So the other thing I would say that's a bit of a negative, not that it's a big negative, is that there's obviously between the first and the second game, other than that technically being looking better and playing better, visually they're much the same because they're obviously set in essentially the same environment. Now, you've got different parts of, you've got different machines now, and some of those machines are bloody awesome. There's this, I don't know how you pronounce it, this basically big giant mammoth thing that's got tusk and everything. It's fucking awesome. Like a tusk something, I can't remember what it's called now. But it's where you fight it early on in a battle, but it's awesome looking animal machine. So there are some
Widemore tusk. Oh, I think it's just a Widemore.
No. It's a big fucking thing. It's enormous.
I don't know.
So there are some new machines added to it that I think are really good in design. The only thing you would probably say is a negative against it is there are different environments because you're going west, so as Stephen said earlier, you're sort of going to what was Las Vegas sort of thing. So you are looking at slightly different environments, but a lot of the even though you are in different environments, the thing from the first game, like the tall reeds you can walk through and hide in, they're still there kind of things. They haven't created new equivalents of those, which probably might have been something they could have done to sort of make it different from one thing to another. But I'm not going to.
There's an expansion coming around halfway through this year.
Okay, so that'd be
where you go and back to Cali.
Okay, yep.
So I've only got a couple of issues.
I really rate it. I think it's a really good game, really solid. It would be on my top 10 list if I was to do one for sure. So even unfinished, it would be.
I've got a few issues. There's a racing sort of set of side objectives where you're racing like the bull robots.
I think so. Yeah.
You end up getting the ability to do like 4 or 5 races. And the later races of that are horseshit because you get really squeezed up against the side of the track as a means to stop you from progressing. And it just gets really fucking annoying when it's like they just pin you against the wall. You can't progress. You can't get ahead of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So then the dude in first just fucking steams off. And it's like,
yeah.
What the hell? So that really annoyed me. And it felt sort of half baked. It was like, we've got this big open world. Grand Theft Auto has racing and has all this other stuff. We should have something like that too.
Yeah, that's yeah, you can kind of see where sometimes games add things in it that they don't really need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be considered. I haven't got to that yet, so I'll get to it at some point, of course. But
and then the only other thing was the last melee pit, where some of the frame animation on the melee attacks really bothered me and got in the way. Like the dude, you'd be swinging like horizontally at the dude's midsection. He'd have the shield down, so then you go, all right, time for the overhead, and he'd go from here to here, seemingly in an instant, block and then punish you.
Yeah,
and it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, if you're gonna, yeah.
So sort of on that line, I would think the only thing that I have found frustrating about it is there are some of the machines can throw projectile weapons and ammo at you, like they can throw things at you, and they can be accurate. They can be really, and
they're machines. They got like targeting systems.
They can be really accurate, and they can really hit you, in quick succession, and just going, oh, the hell am I meant to? So that was probably the only thing I would be, that from a combat perspective, I think it's been a bit frustrating, is that they can hit you with accuracy when you're running fast, and when you get hit by that, you sort of go flying backwards and go, and then you basically get stuck in a loop where you essentially can't get out of it because you get hit, fall down, stand up, get hit, fall down, and you're just in that for 3 or 4 in a row, and by then you're almost at death. So
dead, and it's like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, so that's probably the only thing I would say that's a bit frustrating. They're just really accurate with their throws, and they are machines, but I think that's just a little bit too good in some aspects.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, in terms
of that story does get good and dumb towards the end, though.
The whole story, yeah, I'm hoping it does. Yeah.
It gets real good and dumb.
Yeah, I do like the story in that game. I like even the first one was really good. This one's really been pulled through. So
have you had the story event happen where you're exploring like one of the cave systems? I can't remember the actual name of it. And then a bunch of like real futuristic dudes rock up?
Don't think so.
Okay, I won't say any more then.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Because man, they're rolling the story.
I have been through a lot of caves, but the characters you mentioned don't ring a bell. So
yeah, I can't remember if it should have been before that 3-part, but whatever. They play into getting real good and stupid. It's fucking great.
Okay.
Like in it, and I'm not saying like stupid in a bad way. Like, I love the Fast and Furious movies. They are stupid. They are dumb. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's dumb in that way.
Yep.
It's fucking. It's really entertaining.
Yep.
Our next game.
Yeah.
The 300 million pound gorilla of the year, almost.
Yep.
In some regards, Elden Ring. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3. I've only played a little bit of Dark Souls Remastered. I've never played 2 or 3. I played Bloodborne to completion and really liked it. I loved Sekiro. Sekiro was, to me, their best one. Was their best one of these.
Yep.
And I played through Neo before Neo 2, and then obviously Neo 2. This is the perfect, the most realized culmination of that From formula. Because it is that open world, and because you're not tightly guided on where you need to go next, there is a bit of a guide of what you need to do, but you're very open in where you can go. Now, yeah, you could go like to basically the end point and fucking die so quick because you're not leveled appropriately, or just a random dude will just go bah and kill you in one hit. And there's like, oh wait, no, I can't come here yet. So you go away, level up, and then come back, and then you go, haha, bap, and you kill them in one hit. I really, really like this game. Right now, I have in it 97.4 hours.
Have you finished it?
And I'm not at...
Whatever that looks like.
Not
have
yet.
You finished it? Okay.
No, I'm not at the end of it yet. I think I'm spending a bit of time now, again, just grinding out some runes to level myself up. Because I've just hit a spot where it's just a really good place to farm runes. So I'll just like after one or two like runs through like these 12 dudes, go back, save, and I'm damn near at the point where I can level up again.
Yep.
But the George R. Martin contribution, I think, is overblown and overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Even he said it himself. He put the basic framework.
I kind of thought it might have been when it sort of first put out there.
He put the basic framework in. I can't tell where his contribution begins and ends because these games are so long and the boss battles end up being so complex and that you forget some parts of the story. Like you only realize oh wait, I'm this dude. I'm going to do this. Okay. But man, just the exploration and I'm enjoying most of the boss fights. I've been over leveled for some of the boss fights, so some of them I can kill in like 4 hits.
Okay, yep.
With my special, but with the weapon I've got and the ability I've got attached to that weapon, I can kill some of them in 4 or 5 hits, which makes me feel really good in some of those fights in the past where it's been like just beaten into the ground.
Yeah,
it's like, haha, fuck you. But like we talked about doubts as to whether or not this game was going to live up to the hype before this year.
Yeah, I think we did a little bit of it. Yeah.
And I didn't play it until we had that. I didn't start playing it until we had that break because the PC version there was a bunch of stuttering and some other things like that. Now the stuttering hasn't been completely resolved, but it's for the most part been resolved. Most of the time, if I get stutter, it's purely when I walk into a new area for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
Or when I walk into a new area after a fresh load, like loading into the game.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's run really, really well. It looks fucking fantastic. This is one of the games that really benefits from HDR. I've ended up having to turn HDR off though because the Windows 10 HDR stuff is not great. But the way the lighting works and the way the different Erd trees light up the environment looks fucking amazing. And I just love how open it is. And it's unlike all of the Souls games up to this point, it was just a straight funnel down almost a singular path.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were optional bosses off to the side if you knew where to look, but there wasn't really all right, I'm stuck on this boss. This thing's beating my head in. I'm going to go somewhere else and do something else for 20 hours, then come back and fuck this dude up.
Yeah.
I've had that happen where I've run into bosses and got stuck. I'm like, I can't quite do this. Screw it. I'm going to go somewhere else. And the somewhere else ends up taking me 10, 20 hours. I'm going to go back and kill that dude. I'm going to have another run at this guy.
Yeah.
Go back, done.
Yeah.
Or go back, get my head kicked in again. It's like, all right, I'm going to go away again, go this place.
But I know I'm closer. I have progressed against him. I have improved against him.
Absolutely.
I got him down to 2 or 3 levels rather than whatever the boss.
I'm pretty sure the point I'm at now, I'm on the downward slope. I think I got made, depending on how long I spend, about 20 or 30 hours. Because I think I'm in one of the last areas, and I've got most of the map fragments. Most of the map is unlocked.
Unlocked, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's just the process of going through it. And this is a game where sometimes it's only an hour and a half, because sometimes like you've gone through a couple of bosses and you're just like, okay, it's a little bit too, so I need to do something else.
Yep.
Or particularly in the middle part of the game, the middle like 60 or 80 hours, 60, 70 hours, which sounds like a lot. That is a lot of time, don't get me wrong, but it's that thing where you could literally play it for 6-8 hours straight.
Yeah.
If you were so inclined. Most of the time, most of my playing has been in a few hour bursts. But even then, like, the last 2 weeks for me have been 35.4 hours in Steam. So this is one of those games, like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be like, we talked about it. It's like, this is going to be one of those games where people are just going to straight up, it's game of the year, and it's not going to earn it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought it was going to. That's what I had. It had that potential that was going to happen just because of who made it and what it is. It was just going to get it by osmosis, but not really earn it. But there has been some criticism of that game, but it for the most part, it's definitely earned it for sure.
And those criticisms are worthwhile. Like, if you are not a fan of that From style, if you are not a fan of Souls-like, if you are not like some Souls-like elements and people who aren't used to playing them a lot, you can get some stuff out of this, even just by going through and just playing the open world part and avoiding the bosses until you're mad over leveled. but it is still a From Souls game.
Yeah, for sure.
So you are going to run into times where an enemy is just going to crush you in like 1 or 2 hits.
Mm.
And you're like, motherfucker. But then sometimes you're like, I'm going back at him and I'm going to go, ha! And then it happens, and then you go, yeah, fuck you. So I've added Elden Ring and Strange Horticulture to my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And now another game we have both played, Far Changing Tides. The 3rd, is this meant to be 3rd of March or 3rd of January?
Well, I thought it probably would have been 3rd of March, but yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, you start talking, I'll confirm the date.
So, Far Changing Tides, the sequel to Far Lone Sails. Like Graham, you said, we both played Far Lone Sails in order to play Far Changing Tides. It seems when you start it, it's not a direct continuation of Far Lone Sails. Because you've got a different, for lack of a better term, ship, you've got a different character, all of that sort of stuff. Now, the 2 games do link up at the end of the game.
Okay, I have not completed this game yet, so I've not finished it yet.
You will see there is a thread that connects the 2 games together.
Yep. I kind of assumed it would be at some point. I assumed it would be at some point, but
does it set up a 3rd game? Who can say?
No, you could have said that after the first one. Could they do a second one? Of course they could.
I mean, like, at the end of the first game, you get basically stranded. So there's like, oh wait, who's going to come and get whatever? And that's where. Yeah. But
yeah, so let's
this is a bit longer.
It's longer. I mean, yeah. So let's go back. Look, visually, it's amazing too. I mean, the visuals of this one it's the same kind of concept, left to right, sort of side scrolling. But they up the graphical aspects of the thing by dozens of times. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah, several orders of magnitude. They really do step up their game.
A lot of it is set so far that I've played it, as I said, I've not finished it, is set essentially on water, or in water.
This is more in water than the last game.
The last one was primarily on land for the most part. For the first one, and this one, like the water they created when you're just on top of it is amazing. It looks really impressive. The puzzles, I think, are probably a little bit tougher, a little bit more. Not tough is not the right word to use. A little bit more to figure out. They're not harder per se. I think they're just a little bit more involved, a bit more complicated, but not to the point that they're too hard. If that makes, it's really hard to get that wording right. But
the complexity of it, like Lone Sails, doesn't quite get as complex. The complexity in Changing Tides, it does more so than Lone Sails ever does. It comes right up to that line of being too complex and being, fuck this, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
But then you think, I'm just going to try doing this on this, and it's like,
yeah, it works. Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's only just up to that line and never over it for me off the top of my head.
And they've taken, like, it still gets to that same point, but they are slightly harder, slightly bit more to them, more steps involved in some of them.
More dense, more complex, more mechanically involved.
But as you say, they don't go to the point where, what the hell am I doing wrong here? You just try something, as you said, or just try something, oh, fuck, it works, okay, cool. And you go, brilliant, that's really cool. So, yeah, I really, really dig it. It looks really good. Again, the music for this game and Lone Sails are fucking phenomenal. So, yeah, it's got a lot going for it. And so,
are soundtracks available for either of these two?
I think Lone Sails is. I think they both are actually available. Maybe even through Steam you can buy them, I think. But, yeah, not too sure.
Far Changing Tides, there is an album for it on Spotify.
Yeah, so you can get the soundtrack for
Lone... Joel Schultz.
For the Lone Sails through on Steam. You can just buy it as a part of the library there. I thought the second one was the same. I thought you could buy the soundtrack. Yeah, you can buy the soundtrack for both on Steam.
And they are both on Spotify as well. Same dude for both.
Yep.
So if you did, it's very much atmospheric noise is maybe a little bit too simple, because the noise rock genre, or just the noise genre, is very different from what this is, but it's very much that atmospheric sort of atmospheric noise that sort of just underpins everything.
Yeah, like it's
And
nothing.
there is some escalation.
Yeah, it doesn't overwhelm me with the music, but it's there, and you notice it when you sort of need to, sort of thing. So yeah, it is yeah, it's a top claim, that one. Made by a group called Orcomotive,
Locomotive.
Orcomotive, and I believe they're
Have
based
they
out
done
of.
anything else?
I'm pretty sure they're based out of
Switzerland, out of
Switzerland.
Zurich.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the things that you look up when I looked up Locomotive was Locomotive Far 3. So
Yeah,
yeah, no
only
word yet on if there's a Far
the only
3,
games they've
but
done are this series, you could say. So yeah,
I think a third game absolutely would be very good.
yeah, for sure.
It would be yeah. Um, Next up, What Lies in the Multiverse? Another game I think you would really enjoy, Graham, because the quality, the strength of the writing alone, games very rarely do humor well.
That's very
I
hard
don't
to
think
do.
games do humor. It's
Anyone
very
that,
hard to do, number one.
yeah, like
Even movie humor is really difficult at times.
yeah, I don't. I find most movies and TV shows just not funny, even though they might be comedies. I
Yeah.
just don't find them funny for whatever. It's just they don't tick my.
Mm.
There are shows in the past that have done that for sure, because that's just
Yeah.
the way my sense of humour is. But yeah, games are probably even harder again because you're controlling the timing of things, which means hard to things. That's why I think the one game that did get humour right, but it wasn't necessarily dialogue humour. It was situational humour. And that was Jazzpunks from
Yeah, Jazzpunk a few years ago did that really well.
4 or 5 years ago now, I think it was. And that wasn't necessarily dialogue. It was just the things you were doing were funny. And
some of it was just so out there and bizarre that you're like,
Yeah.
who the fuck? What the acid did you take to end
yeah,
up with
it's
this?
just absurdist kind of comedy sort of stuff. So it was just funny from that perspective. But yeah,
But this is written incredibly well, and it's incredibly funny, but also really quite touching in spots.
Mhm.
Particularly as the dude that you're, the character that you're with, once his whole little thing starts unraveling a little bit, and his choices get darker. It's like fucking what the fuck. But it's really nicely pixel art, really nicely animated pixelated art. There is some platforming elements. Some of the puzzles were a little tough, but again, doable. I think I may have looked up one or two additional puzzles to get collectibles off the top of my head. But again, if we were doing a best writing category, I had this down for it. Because I feel like the quality of the writing is not quite second to none. I think that's maybe a bit too effusive in praise. But goddamn, it's good. It's good. It doesn't wear out its welcome. Is it maybe a touch longer than it needs to be? Possibly. It maybe some parts could have been tightened up a little bit, but again, part of that was me exploring and getting some additional items and collectibles and stuff like that. But a very, very strong sort of, again, that sort of 2D. It's like if you took the Far games and ran them through like a 1980s comedy writer who smoked too much weed and did way too much acid. And like it came out like those sort of really bizarre, really sort of esoteric humor like comedy movies and things like that at the time. It's just like you think, how the fuck did you get to this point? What the fuck? But like it's that in a good way. I think it's awesome. I think more people should play it. But yeah, I think you might dig it.
Well, I've just gone onto the Steam store page and it is currently 80% off.
How much?
80% off.
Fucking shit! Buy it.
So it's just I've just in my cart already. So it's already there.
Yep.
So it'll cost me $4.30 Australian dollars to buy it as of now. That sale is ending in about 38 hours. So the time this comes up, that sale will be very close to ending. So I would jump on that. Remember you hear this part of the podcast.
I definitely would because it was
And
one of the
they're also selling the soundtrack for 90 cents Australian. So,
I can't remember much of the soundtrack for it, but I do remember it being fairly good.
Yep.
There's almost a McPixel kind of quality to some of the humor, just so absurd, so out there.
Yep.
That reminds me, I forgot to get to McPixel 3. Now, what you gonna do? Tunic.
Tunic.
The game with the little fox.
And the game that took a long time to get out.
It took a long time to get out, and it ended up being something, particularly once you get to the main trick, something very different than what was actually shown.
Yeah, this is the one game that I was looking forward to an awful lot. I played it at. It would have to have been a 2019's PAX, I think, because I don't think they
I
did
think
20.
you're right.
I don't think they did the
They
2020.
didn't do a 2020 or 21.
Yeah, they did the 2021, and they've only just done 2022. So I think must have been that, no later than that. It might have even been before that, but definitely no later than the 2019 PAX. Yeah. And it was that top down sort of game, but obviously that's a demo that you're not even that. So it never really got into the full meat of that game. So I'm not sure what turn you're talking about, and I don't really want to know at this stage. I may get back to this game, I may not.
Yeah.
But it's on Game Pass on the Xbox, and probably on PC as well, I suspect. But
it is on PC Game Pass because that's
so
where I played
may
it.
eventually get back to it, but yeah, it's obviously the cute little.
The only thing I will say is that this game has a secret language that you figure out.
Ah, okay.
And the manual pages actually play into that secret language.
Okay.
Now, don't ask. Oh, I should have kept because remember when we talked about it on the podcast, I had that big page of notes.
Okay, this is the game you did notes on. Yeah, okay.
This is the game that was for.
Yep.
I ended up doing a clean out of the office I'm in, and there was the page here that had all the notes on it. I must have thrown that out. I should have kept it for this, but that was it does some things.
Yep.
Like the baseline sort of Zelda-ness of it is completely sound.
Yeah.
But when it turns the corner, and it sort of it turns the corner, becomes something a little bit different, and you're just like, what the fuck? And it's a what the fuck where I couldn't have figured it out by myself because I tried.
Yeah. Yep.
And I didn't get it.
Yep.
But the internet helped.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that would be a great candidate for like a best looking because nothing looked like Tunic this year.
Definitely had a style to it, that's for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't think anything's come out that's looked like Tunic ever.
The
camera angle and stuff, definitely.
Yeah, like the other one that sort of comes close is the remake of the Zelda game that Switch put out, Nintendo put out.
Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds, was that 3 years ago? Whenever that was?
That was 3DS.
So.
You're talking the Zelda 2. The Game Boy one.
I'm talking about the one that came out on Switch. That's what I'm talking about. The one
Link's Adventure, I think.
Link's Adventure, I think it was. One that sort of re-released it, sort of thing. So yeah, that had a sort of similar perspective and a similar sort of not look to it. Yeah, thank you. So that had a similar sort of look to it, like from an angle perspective, camera perspective, and yeah, but obviously played a lot different.
I can see what you talk about with that looking somewhat similar art style wise as well.
Yeah, like a little bit different.
Off on that,
it's not 100%.
It's not identical.
Not identical in any way, shape, or form, but
yeah.
you could see them being linked.
And you can see the DNA where this is a one person development team.
Yeah, this game's it's been made by one person for 3 or 4 years now. I think it was in development for.
Oh, it's been baking for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to make my top 10. But that's not a flaw of it.
No.
It's just a relative strength of everything else around it. And goddamn, for as dope as those manual pages look, and they look really close to old school NES instruction booklets, what they actually do beyond that, man. Real quick, Itora. Metroidvania set in not Mesopotamia, like Aztec, Central American sort of vibe.
Yep.
Beautifully animated, like an actual animated, seemingly borderline hand drawn animation. Yep. Just a very good, very robust Metroidvania that has a fantastic look to it. Some really good music to it as well. It doesn't need talking too much more than that because it's just a very, very solid, very good one of those. But I still think people should play it because it is such a good one of those. And in a year where there's been quite a few indie Metroidvanias come out, some of them have held up, some of them have dropped the ball. This one doesn't drop the ball. This one follows it through to the end. Like, if you dug Ori, then you are going to enjoy Itora, I feel. So, yeah. Norco, Between this and Citizen Sleeper coming up, those were the two main sort of, for lack of a better term, visual novel text adventures of the year until Case of the Golden Idol late 2022, which I never got to. I think I would have been too stupid for Case of the Golden Idol, but moving on. Norco, point-and-click adventure, written really well, but also the dreariness of it sort of ends up being a little bit its downfall. I think Citizen Sleeper is the stronger of the two. The conversation between Norco and Citizen Sleeper, both individually, both of them end up being tied together in any discussion I've heard of them this year. Are they the same game? No, but there are trappings that are similar between the two. I think some people may end up responding more and better to Norco than I would. I think the story is really engaged. I basically went through it fairly much in like three settings off the top of my head. So it was engaging enough to keep pushing me forward. The cult elements that come in and that are really well developed. The story goes off a sort of stupid cliff. And not so much a good stupid cliff, unfortunately. But it's still strong enough writing-wise to hold up its end of the bargain through to the end. So if you do like particularly older more pure point-and-click adventures, this is one of those. And it probably is among the better ones of those that came out this year for me. From what I've seen anyway. Like I said, Coast of the Golden Idol is the only one I haven't actually played of those.
Yep.
Maybe there was one other, but who cares? Kirby. Kirby's awesome. Moving on. No. Kirby's one of the few console games I actually played through this year.
Okay.
And I 100%ed that bitch. When you go through and you do the proper ending, Kirby goes full anime and turns into a fucking truck. Like a fucking 18-wheeler. He goes mouthful mode on an 18-wheeler, and it's fucking amazing. I 100%ed this. And it probably took between 20 and 30 hours, but it was well worth it. This being the first, I guess, avenue for Kirby to go into 3D. Is it pure 3D like Mario Odyssey? No. The levels are a little more contained than that, but there is still freedom of movement in those individual levels. And the usage of the powers and everything like that, yeah, you can play through it and probably blaze through it like 6 to 8 if you're really rushing through it, but to get all of the items and collectibles and stuff like that, it's just really fun. And that, there's a lot of games that came out this year that focused on being maybe a little bit maybe a bit overly serious and forgot the fun part. Kirby never forgets the fun, man. Kirby's all about fun. Just sucking up dudes. Wait. That's... if you think about that statement a little bit too long, it can be really dirty, but just sucking up dumb little animals.
Don't think it takes that long.
No, you're right, it doesn't take that long. The little there's borderline little corgi puppies that are enemies in that game, and they're great. They're cute little fuckers. Corgi puppies are awesome. But again, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a fucking great game. Not going to make my top 10. Again, not through any fault of it. I think it's a super, super strong game. It's just I feel like the games I've got for my top 10 are stronger. Which may be a bit unfair outside looking in, but fuck, it's good. It's really, really good. It's such a good Kirby game. Man, Kirby getting done raw. Anyway, next game. We both played it. We both played this one.
Yeah, and
How long have you spent playing it?
Not that long. I just recall playing a little. I think I might have played through the first 2 or 3 chapters of the first movie. I can't remember exactly the structure of the game now, but it was a long. I got it at launch and played it at launch for a bit. But
Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Now, I've been sitting here tossing up whether or not to get this game for a while. It was on the Galactic Edition was on a deep discount during the Steam Christmas sale. So I'm like, fuck it, pulled the trigger, bought it. I think I've got 9 hours in, and it's possibly going to be a very good after work game. Because just the smashing of stuff, the collecting of the Lego bricks, all of that sort of stuff. I spent ages just in the was it Tatooine? where you go, where there's the little bar and they're all net, 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 and you meet Han Solo and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going around that, getting all the blue collectible bricks that are the prizes for the puzzles. There's a lot in here, though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do
If you've not
do
played
you
a
think
Lego
it's sort of
if you've not played a Lego game in a while, they are damn big games now.
yeah? This is the first Lego game I've played since I think Lego Indie.
Oh god, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. They are massive games now in terms of.
This has turned into a whole different
Well,
monster than what they were when I played
they're
back in the day.
basically they're 100-hour games now, comfortably,
Yeah,
comfortably. Like the last I'd say it started to turn to that sort of scale
Avengers or superheroes
probably around the around the
or Batman. Wasn't it Lego
Batman.
Batman 3 that went this route?
Yeah, it's a Batman. I'm trying to. So it might have even started early in that with the Harry Potter series of games they did. We should even go
Okay.
back even further back. Yeah, they've just gone like you've got hundreds of characters to unlock. You've got multiple things to do. You've got to replay them twice in every case to be able to get all of the mini kits that are in each one of them. And then then they got the when they went open world, I think is when it really started to get really big. For that perspective, because then you've
Do
still
they
got.
collapse under their own weight a little bit?
Oh, absolutely they do. Oh, they certainly can for sure. Like you can go, this is just too much, too something.
Like 6 of those 9 hours were in literally A New Hope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
Maybe even longer than that. Maybe even 7.
yeah, so you can spend
Just like
a
running
lot of
around
time.
trying to get those bricks and shit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of they put a lot of collectible stuff into each of them now, which isn't necessarily needed per se, but because of the types of brains you and I have, we have to do everything when we get to the game like that. So that's sort of what happens. So
I have considered starting to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla and sort of stop myself for that very reason.
yeah, oh yeah,
Like, oh man, same with Red Dead 2. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll start this. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, no,
yeah.
it's like a fucking 140-hour game too. Shit. So, I still think it's worth getting though, particularly on
absolutely,
those
yeah.
discounts to happen.
Yeah, if you get on I wouldn't necessarily at this stage.
Nah.
Well, you wouldn't get it for full price anyway. They'd be on a discount everywhere, sort of thing. But
It's on Game Pass too.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Game
yes.
Pass on PC and I think on Xbox as well.
Yep. So I'd definitely, yeah. I mean,
So-
if no, as I said, I've already bought it, so that's fine. But yeah, if I was picking it up now, I definitely would pick it up for cheaper.
And I would maybe get the Galactic Edition, which has a bunch of characters additional too, particularly if you can get it on the cheap.
Yeah, sure.
Because it does have those additional characters and stuff like that. It is very, very good. It's just very, very dense.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're just so.
There's like 1,200 of those blue blocks to collect.
Yeah, like there's these things that make some massive thing at the end of it. You got to collect them.
Mm.
They've also got the. I don't know if they still do them as much now. They used to have the red brick concept and then gold bricks, and they can do little sort of various buffs.
I haven't noticed any of them come up yet.
There used to even be like the things to do the. I don't know what they call it might be probably True Jedi. I think is what they used to call it, where you get the stud limit.
They do that.
The stud limit in each, whatever that number is, 120,000, whatever.
Some missions are real pricks to get that in too.
Yeah, well that's the thing. So sometimes you actually got to go back and do it a second time, or you got to go and find the multiplier bricks that do 2 and 4 times multipliers, and then go back and play it then when you then can get it really simply. So if they even still do that, I don't know if they even still do that sort of stuff.
That might be an unlockable.
I think they generally had that as an unlockable in all the previous games. So to the point where you can basically take one step, pick up one stud, and it just pops off straight away. It's great.
Yeah.
Because you're getting like
that would be really satisfying though.
Yeah.
I can see that being awesome.
So you can basically
I need to see if that.
So you've actually got like in the past they've had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 multipliers. You add them all on, you put them all on together, and you got like a 3,240 multiplier or something like that. You pick up 110 stud, and you got like 3.5 million sort of entries, and just boom, just pops it straight away. It's great.
You're right. There's a Polygon has it as a guide. For some reason, it's not working on the internet right now, which is real dumb. But the multipliers do stack as you buy them. So you can get a whopping 3,840 multiplier on stacks if you unlock them all.
Yeah, yep. So it's
you go through I think it's
Okay, they used to be red bricks in the previous games. I don't know where they still are now, but you basically got
a data card and 1 million studs.
Okay, so they've actually
There's
changed
data cards that you pick up in each level.
Yeah, so they've changed it from game to game what you need to do to do some of those buffs things. But list of things like you can have one would be the medikit locator on would be one you could turn on that just has arrows everywhere where the medikits are. Other
That's
things like
an
that.
upgrade that you buy with the blue bricks and
Okay,
studs.
yeah. So they've changed it from game to game what you need to do, but they've all had the basic concepts in them. So yeah.
But yeah, 1,200 of those blue bastards. I was like, fucking hell. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a semi-sequel, semi-expansion to the original Stanley Parable from a few years ago. There's a bit of uncertainty as to what this actually, how much of this is sequel and how much of this is just the old content. I feel like this is about 80% new content.
Okay, so it's fairly big then, yeah.
And again, it's written super well.
Going back to earlier discussion about comedy, like this is probably the Stanley Parable from a couple of years ago. Was probably one of the best of that, where they actually had dialogue and stuff like that, along with actually, now sort of think about it, the Portal 2.
Portal 2 does pretty well, particularly with Cave Johnson and
stuff and GLaDOS and stuff like that. So, yeah, there are a couple that do it.
I keep forgetting Cave Johnson's voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Trip me out.
Yeah, there are comedy games that do the dialogue-driven stuff. Few and far between, but they occasionally come through and can be quite good. But yeah.
While there's a lot of new stuff in it, it does still have the achievement for knocking on that door 5 times.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's that really, really long, drawn-out, multi-step process. That's like, it just comes back to the end and you're like, knock, 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 knock. Achievement unlocked. Yay. And it just drops a balloon down in front of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super well written. If you didn't play the original Stanley Parable, I don't know how much you'll get out of this. I think you kind of need to play that first one before you play this. If you've already played it, you don't need to go back through it. But I know that there's reviewers that have talked about spending like 10, 12 hours with this thing. Like, I played through it in 3 or 4, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to wait the 10 years to unlock the achievement to go back in, because there's a 10-year achievement now instead of a 5.
Okay.
And for the last game, I did the clock trick and just won the year forward. I'm not going to do that this time. And there's also an achievement for playing the game for an entire Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get that just by leaving it at the menu, though. If you can just leave it at the menu, then, hey, bring it on. But very, very good for what it is. And I would like to think, if you can get it in a pack with the original, that's the way to experience that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yep.
Well, yeah. Perfectly solid. Haiku the Robot. A great little Metroidvania, indie Metroid, another great indie Metroidvania, actually, from this year. A bit more pixel-arty than Itora, or not a bit, entirely more pixel-arty than Itora. This one's like a robot apocalypse, where everything's been wiped out. You're this little robot, and you're trying to figure out what the hell happened to everyone and how to help all your little friends. But it's just, again, a really solid, really strong Metroidvania that's just really fun to explore. And is it hard in spots? Of course it is. I wouldn't want it any other way, because I think a Metroidvania where you can blow through everything is kind of disappointing and boring. But, man, it's a really good one of those. And if I could force it onto my list somehow, I would. There's just no way I'm going to get it on there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Not with some of the other games I've got highlighted on here. I do really think people should play this, though, particularly if you had any interest at all in Metroidvania-style games. This is one you need to play. More so than Itora, I feel. Itora looks way better. This almost plays better. I think I might have played the two very close to each other as well, off the top of my head, because I'm a dickhead. Hey, which part are you agreeing with? The dickhead part or the... Good answer. Next cab off the ranks. Some of these are just like quick little run-throughs. Save room. You know the item inventory sort of puzzle you have to do in Resident Evil games?
Not really, but I know of them, but I haven't done them.
You know the concept, right? Where you've got your trunk, and you're trying to organize everything so you can get all your inventory items in. This is a puzzle game based on that.
Okay.
And it shouldn't work, but it fucking works so well. Like, there's times where you have to combine, like, your health is down. You have to combine the herbs into the health potion, drink the potion, and then organize everything, load the guns and all that sort of stuff so you can fit everything into this, like, very weird, confined, fucked up space. And it has no right to work anywhere near as well as it does. And there's some great writing on some of the item descriptions, but it's just this cool. It's like $3.
Yep.
And it literally just presents it as you click play. Here's basically a shape for the box. Here's the stuff. Put it in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some great achievements where you go to put, like, you'll put the gun in the box, click continue, and it's like, you didn't load the gun. What are you doing? And you get an achievement for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah. Excuse me, but yeah, such a good little thing that just way better than it has any right to be, which I really dig. This is the game I have spent the most time with this year is Rogue Legacy 2, hours-wise. There isn't Apex or isn't Forza Horizon 5. I have 162.7 hours in Rogue Legacy 2. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I have every achievement in Rogue Legacy 2. Now, I did not do a lot of that. Like, I did all the work playing it, but I had to look up quite a few different things to figure out how to do what for some of those and all that sort of deal. But man, this is oh my god, the amount of the extent to which they improved Rogue Legacy 1 in this, phenomenal.
Yep.
Absolutely incredible. The early access period probably helped them. I never played it during early access. Because I tend to avoid playing early access games so I don't get sick of them by the time they come out.
Yeah.
Some games that's possible in. For you, like Satisfactory, not possible. Unless I don't know. Can you see yourself getting sick of Satisfactory at any point?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I could probably reduce the amount of hours I play it, but getting not.
Maybe
not
2,500 hours down the line. Or something?
Somewhere. I don't know when at some point I'll definitely ease off on it, but I don't have no idea when that.
I mean, at some point you tap the extent of the content in that game.
Yeah, exactly, and that's probably when I'll probably end up stopping because
But man, Rogue Legacy 2 is such a success in being a sequel to Rogue Legacy. It just it amps up everything. It does more in almost every aspect. Like the animation and the way the graphical style of it is fantastic. Where it's not that pixel style, it's that idea of, you know, when you play like a remaster of a game and it looks the way you think the old game looked. This is that. Yeah. This does that really, really well for Rogue Legacy 1. It's like really beautifully drawn and animated, but it still gives you that vibe of, this is what the first one looked like. This is great.
Like
it's not.
It's like a cleaner, crisper version of what the first one was, kind of thing.
Very much so. This is like the 32-bit version of Rogue Legacy 1's 16-bit version.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I talked about it on the last podcast we did of 2022. I talked quite a bit about it there, so I'm not going to talk about it too much more. But fuck me, it is incredible. And almost incredible how much time I spent playing it. It's a very good after work game.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
Because like, I could have runs that go, if I get real dumb and careless, I could have a run go for between 15 minutes and half an hour. Or I could have a run where I hit every single biome, kill every single monster, get all the gold, get all the items, all that sort of stuff, and it's a 2-hour run. But man, it's I wouldn't have played it for that long if I didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
Yep.
Citizen Sleeper, like I said.
Let's the first other category here.
You want to do the supplementals?
We've now done. That's now the first quarter of the releases we've actually gone through. Up to April. Yep. So let's do. Do you want to do your albums?
Sure.
Here?
Music of the year.
And when we get to the end of August, I'll do my YouTube one.
Sweet. So I've slightly tweaked mine and done music of the year, where I've got an album of the year and I've got a couple of songs of the year, purely because they didn't come out on any albums this year. I've got the link there. That's not a very easily convertible link to get to my...
we might figure something
out. If I was smart and
could...
Yeah. I've looked into how to do the bit.ly web addresses.
We'll try and find a short link.
You have to pay for that.
I didn't have to in the past. That's interesting.
Oh, or maybe I didn't look. I looked at it for a grand total of like 10 seconds, which is why I didn't. Yeah, right. So I've got six albums down as my album of the year. I could have easily doubled this, but Lorna Shore, Pain Remains, Electric Callboy Techno, Fit for an Autopsy, Oh, What the Future Holds. Coheed and Cambria, Vaxis 2, A Window of the
You do
Waking
realise
Mind.
people can read what you're looking at, don't you?
I know, I'm just reading them out because I want to.
Okay.
Leave me alone.
Just trying to make this podcast a bit shorter than what it's going to be at the moment, so just...
Yeah, good play. I've already asterisked my top 3, and I've underlined my album of the year. For about 10 months of this year, I was like, Fit for an Autopsy's album of the year. Nothing's topping it. Then Lorna Shore said, hey, fuck you, check this out. And released something that was even heavier, even more just, oh, god damn it, it's so good. And Will Ramos, as a vocalist, is an absolute beast. And when you hear that kid talk, it's hilarious because he just sounds like the normal sort of like California sort of teenager. He's 28, but he just sounds like a normal Cali dude. And then you hear him doing gutturals and all that sort of stuff. It's ridiculous. There's a really cool video on YouTube, speaking of YouTube actually, where he goes to like a otolaryngologist or whatever. And they stick a camera down his throat and see what his vocal cords do when he does like pig squeals and stuff.
Okay.
Super interesting. But watching what his vocal... Like, I showed it to one of my classes and we were just like, what the fuck? And also, not everyone's watching this too, Graham. People are listening as well.
Yeah, that's fine. You've already said your top 3. That's fine. We'll link to your Spotify.
And I didn't say Sensory Amusia, Breed Death. That's the other one. Yeah, Fit for an Auto. I went and saw them, like we've talked about, and they were fucking incredible there. Electric Callboy Techno. I did say when we did the end of the year podcast that this is basically the Fast and Furious of metal albums this year. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I can go back to this album anytime and just chuck it on and just barely pay attention, but it's so good at what it does. It's kind of real dumb, but kind of incredible. Like, people just need to look up the song Hurricane with a K-A-N at the end to see what I mean. It takes the weirdest... It starts off like this Eurovision pop trash song and just goes full breakdown for the last 30 seconds. I played it for one of my classes knowing what it was going to do, but they didn't. And then I played it another 10 times in a row. Because it's incredible. But yeah, Lorna Shore, Pain Remains is my album of the year because of just how incredible that album is. 2 songs that are fantastic. Victims cover of My Chemical Romance's How I Disappear. And Raekwon and Ghostface Killer for We Ain't Came to Lose. We ain't came to lose, because that is going to be part of the discussion of a certain game coming up very shortly. So yeah, my music of the year. Some good stuff there. And the Spotify playlist to my 2022 list. So
quick overall summary. Good year, bad year, indifferent year for music?
Pretty good year for music.
Good year. Okay.
I think 2022 was a pretty good year for music. 2023, much like in games, 2023 is shaping up to be a killer year. Like, a lot of bands that didn't put stuff out last year are all prepping stuff for this year, and I'm like, oh my god, there's going to be some great stuff. Hopefully Volvadinia come to Australia and come to Perth this time. I could have listed a whole bunch of albums here. Like we've said in the past, part of the reason I do must listens now is to avoid having to put like a list of 30 albums here and linking to the Spotify. Boom. The Spotify playlist for 2022 is part of that, so I don't have to just bombard people. People can just go and look at it. Some really good varied music this year too. Like there's a soundtrack for a game that we're going to talk about shortly that is on Spotify, and that's great. Hot Water Music, a punk band, and then you got Scumfuck and yes, the band is called Scumfuck, which, hey, that's really charming. Which, yeah, someone on my Facebook said the same thing. It was like, really? I'm like, yeah, they sing about flowers and puppies. But yeah, just a great varied year, and I keep trying to scroll the window up on this screen, and it's not working. I'm like, why is it not working? But yeah, 2023, though, is shaping up to be a banger with some of the stuff I've heard is coming. Man, goddamn. I already have 2 must listens for 2023, Graham. We'll talk about them next week.
All right.
Okay.
I think we need to take a quick break, so we'll come back, and then we will start off with the first game of essentially the second quarter. Second.
Yeah, second quarter.
No, it's not a quarter because I've done it in 3. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Second trimester.
Trimester. Period. Whatever. Citizen Sleeper. Back in a moment.
We's back. People watching along on YouTube will notice that the list looks a little bit different. Because I've removed some games. Not because I didn't think they were worth talking about, because I think they are, but just for the sake of brevity in a few spots, so that we're not going for fucking 4 hours. Citizen Sleeper is our next game. Like I said, when that came out, it was very much a Citizen Sleeper versus Norco. Not that they're identical games, but I fell on the Citizen Sleeper side of that. Partly because of the dice roll sort of gambling elements of it, I guess, a little bit. But it's a very, very well written semi-adventure game. It's closer to a text adventure than it is actual adventure game, because you don't see a character moving along the screen.
Yeah, I tried to play this game at some point and I could not get into it at all.
I think you fell off
I
hard.
fell off it.
Because,
I just couldn't even figure out what I was even doing in most of the time. So now that you're sort of comparing it to Norco, I think I might go back and maybe have a look at Norco, because that does appear to
might be a better game for you.
Does appear to be a more traditional, for the want of a better term,
yes,
point and click game. Whereas I just could not figure out Citizen Sleeper at all. So.
This almost is closer to a visual novel. This is a visual novel with point and click elements to it and some random chance elements with the different dice you have and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think that makes it any less of a game, but it also is
that's going to appeal to people or not, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I was convinced that was going to be on my top 10. I've actually finished typing out my top 10, so I won't. And I've ordered it too now.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't talk about Citizen Sleeper isn't going to make it, unfortunately. I was convinced it was going to, but it didn't quite make it.
Yep.
Another game that didn't quite make it, partly because in some ways fell off, just because this is XCOM 2 scope. Warhammer 40k, Chaos Gate, Demon Hunters. This is basically Warhammer XCOM. I cannot make any more pure comparison to that. You only get 4 controllable, I guess, Demon Hunters. It's a sect of the Space Marines off the top of my head. There are some missions that are quite challenging because you only have 4 dudes and there's a lot of orcs, and some of them are real assholes. But this is a game where, much like XCOM 2, I would probably prefer to play it more sort of very slowly, like through the course of maybe this year or maybe in a year's time, whatever comes out for it, than I would trying to rush through it before the end of this or this. Which is what I was going to try and do, but I'm like, this isn't a game you can... you could maybe try and marathon it, but I think you would just burn out on it, or you would burn yourself out trying to do so because of just how dense and how big it is. But if we're talking tactical games that came out this year, this is the best one. To me. There's one that is no longer on the list that was somewhat going to be, because I fell off that one hard. We'll talk about that next week, though.
Yep.
Soda Crisis. A side-scrolling platform shooter like Gunstar Heroes from Japan, and the dude likes soda. It's just a really, really tight, really well playing version of like a Gunstar Heroes. It's just that scrolling platform shooter that moves really quickly. It has a fantastic fucking look to it. There's technological sort of elements that include voxels. It just looks great. You could knock through it probably in about 2 hours, 3 hours. It's got a really awesome soundtrack to it. I just think it's one of those little games that came out and was just, Joe, this is dope. And I think it's one of those things that makes video games great, in that you can get huge AAA things, and you can get these much smaller games from really small studios like a Team Soda, the developers of Soda Crisis, and be super enjoyable and super satisfied, and only pay 10, 15, 20 bucks for it.
Yeah. And get just as much value out of that 20, 15 bucks you would out of paying 80 bucks for a full AAA game. Yeah.
And if people, like I said, have played Gunstar Heroes, they know roughly what they're getting here. To an extent, Contra as well.
Yep.
Sniper Elite 5 is a game we have a video in the pipes for. And we killed Hitler, and we killed him good. That was fucking incredible. Sadly, that Kill Hitler DLC mission does not seem... The mechanics in the background of it seem to be a little bit more bugged than the rest of the game does. Because I've tried it. There was once in that video that seemed to bug out, and me playing it separately, it also seemed to bug out. It is what it is.
Mm.
But the rest of that game, the very wide open individual spaces that you're given, gives you a very wide chance to try and tackle each individual scenario. There's a bunch of side missions in each map as well that keeps you really engaged. You're not penalized for having to go loud,
Yeah.
but it's
Yep.
way more fun to skulk around and just bust Nazis in the head with a silenced pistol and then snipe some prick in the dick. It's really amusing. I think this. It's sort of more the B tier because of Rebellion's development and all the background there. Because that's again is what that term means. It's a development and marketing tool. It's not anything else. But it is a very strong one of those, and I will probably keep buying Sniper Elite games for as long as they make them, and as long as they make them decent.
Yep.
Because it is just really satisfying to just fucking snipe some prick in the head and go, sucked in, you deserve it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. This is where that Wu-Tang song was from, the Raekwon and Ghostface song, and it's unfortunately a spot we haven't made it yet in our playthrough.
Oh, okay, fair enough. We should probably get back to that.
Yeah, we should really get to finishing that, because like that song, that moment it comes up is fucking fantastic. And I only realized this recently, but both Raekwon and Ghostface are actually portraying a character in the song. One is Shredder and one's like Leonardo.
Okay.
And it's fucking great. Yeah, do you have anything you want to say on it?
Yeah, look, Shredder's Revenge is a game that as I said, we've got a video series we're 3 episodes into.
3, I think. 2 or 3.
I think. We've probably got maybe as many to go, so we haven't really got that much to do. It's a relatively short game. But it's really like it's really good. Like they've made the Cowabunga collection, I think is the other thing that came out last year. But this is a sort of more standalone. It's not part of that collection.
This is new.
There's a new storyline, a new everything. Yeah, so it's a new thing. It's really good. That's the upshot. It's really fun. It plays like the old arcade games used to be in the 2 decades ago, how long ago they were out. It looks really good. The music's really good. Yeah, it's it's just a solid game. And we should get back to that and finish that series off. Because I'm not playing it because I'm waiting to play the series. We should get back to it so we can finish it.
I literally have one character ending to see, and it's Casey Jones's, and I'm waiting to see it because of
you're playing that character.
I really want you to see that song.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's really good. That's really, really good.
The one downside of it is that Mike Patton did a re-recording of the theme, the Ninja Turtles theme. I don't think it's as good as the original version. There, I said it. Moving on. Neon White, a game that PC Gamer made their platformer of the year.
Okay.
I mean, that sort of speaks to, in some regards, maybe the relative strength of platformers, but there's a first-person platforming element to Neon White. Basically, first-person speedrunning game, but it's got this ridiculous story of heaven versus hell in the background of it as well. That borderline goes full anime in about 4 different places.
Yeah.
The music is really, really appropriately kind of intense.
Yep.
There's the different side quests that you get that add another layer of complexity onto it.
Yep.
And there's also a part of those side quests that are very much hey, you. Yeah, you done all right in this? You got your ace medals, you got the presents, all that? Yeah, fuck you. Try this. I was like, oh, that's not very nice. I kind of burned out on Heaven and Hell when we did the video series I was doing for that, just because the intensity of trying to do the hell mode was fucking rough. And like, am I going to go back to that? Probably not. But I still think that, and that's because I put like good 20, 30 hours into Neon White standalone. And those a couple of those Heaven and Hell runs. It's just a very, very strong game. Mechanically, it works so well to a point where you wouldn't think it would work as well as it does. First person platforming is normally dog shit. Like Mirror's Edge did a mostly very good job with it. Everything else has been garbage, and I forgot to put Signalis on here. but I'm going to leave it because Signalis is great, but it's not making my top 10. Play Signalis. And yeah, Neon White, fucking fantastic. It's on my top 10. I will show where later.
Mm-hmm.
Graham, Power Wash. I never played this, weirdly enough.
Yeah, this is a game that came out in early access on Steam sort of middle of 2021, and then got its full release in sort of middle of 2022 on Steam and also then on the Xbox consoles. There is a Switch, PlayStation versions coming out sometime. Actually, might even be out by this relatively soonish, I believe. Like this game is exactly what it is. You are running, you've got one of those big Karcher power wash things, whatever brand you want to use, and you're just cleaning stuff. You're cleaning you're cleaning a golf buggy in one scenario. You're cleaning an entire house in another.
Mini golf course. Yeah.
You're cleaning a child's playground in another one, and basically you earn money from doing that. And it's not hard at all. It's not that. It's the true, like it is the true podcast game. Like there's no dialogue, there's no music.
The podcast game.
Yeah, there's nothing to basically other than just sitting there doing this stuff. And it's gonna, you're either gonna get into this game and play it a lot, or you're just gonna go, what the hell did I do that for, and never play it at all. And I've gone through probably 3 or 4 scenarios. They can take 2 or 3 hours each to do, depending on how big they are. You just get into a bit of a rhythm with it and a bit of a zone with it, and nothing else sort of happens, and you just keep, oh shit, 3 hours later you've done this thing, you've earned $600 from it, or whatever the game rewards you with. But it's a game that it came out in a time that this is exactly what I needed for what I was kind of going through at the time. I won't go any further than that, and it just allowed me to play something, tune out everything else, or it was the opposite. It allowed me to just think about stuff and just do this thing mindlessly. So it's just had a bit of a dual role throughout the year for me. But it is an enjoyable.
It's like adult colouring books.
Yeah, essentially exactly what it is. Yeah. And you can basically do whatever you want. Like you can break down what you're trying to wash into sequence. Okay, I'm just going to get this wall done perfectly, and you spend all the time doing that. Yeah. And you go up and down the edges and then across and whatever you want to do, or so you can just sort of do it how you want, and that's how you can sort of get that OCD kind of mentality to it as well. So it's
finding those last couple of spots that I've heard is kind of an arsehole.
Yeah, because the one thing it does do on the list on the Expo is it highlights the areas that need to be washed, because it highlights them in a sort of a bright blue colour. So you can find the big colour. How the hell did I get that? I've got to crawl down and look up, and you go back and forth. And then eventually you go ding, and you got it. Hey, you found it, sort of thing.
Why not just leave it and have someone else do it?
Yeah. So it is just a complete tune-out game, and it came along at the right time for me. So that's why I've put it on their list to talk about. So.
Yeah. Oh, you're not the only person to have it on like end of year lists and stuff like that. It sort of took over the industry or the video game sphere.
Yeah, it's certainly got
quite an intense way for that very reason.
Yeah, you can have it going on and have a quite a deep and meaningful conversation while you're playing it with somebody else, because there's nothing to concentrate on while you're playing the game. So, yeah.
I imagine this game would be great. Just have like a tumbler of scotch with some ice, and you're just sitting back, just leaning back, just like and just doing that. Like it's the ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pity I don't drink scotch. Or drink anymore. But moving on. Ollie Ollie World, the third of the Ollie Ollie series, and goddamn was it a good one. It looks fucking amazing. It plays incredibly well. I feel it plays better on controllers that have shorter stick throws.
Okay.
If you understand what I mean by that. Because I tried playing it with the Elite controller, and because of for lack of a better term, the throw that stick has, trying to get some of the tricks out was a little bit harder. But otherwise, god damn that, like, I love skateboarding games in particular. Like Tony Hawk 1 and 2 was up there for me last year. I have played to death a lot of skateboarding games in the past. This got weirdly specific and difficult towards the end in a way that kind of fucked me off a bit, but I stuck with it, finished it. I haven't played any of the DLC because by the time I'd hit that final point, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, you're done. Yep.
It was like, if I was to go back, it would just be to fuck around and just skate. I didn't want to play it through the like just get hammered by those challenges. There's a Trials like component quality to it as well.
Mm.
If people remember like Trials Evolution, Fusion, all that sort of stuff, very much a component of that. And just sometimes it's just chill to skate, man. Like, and if people have heard or seen like the chill beats to study to or whatever on the old YouTubes, the soundtrack is very reminiscent of that. Just sort of chill hip hop beats. You're just chilling and skating. And again, some of the environmental design you have to think whoever put it together, high as fuck. Because yeah, it just goes weird, sort of drugged up places. But a very enjoyable one of those. Not the only thing Roll7 put out this year, surprisingly enough. We'll get to that in a sec, though. I wouldn't have thought they'd be able to pull off 2 games in 1 year, but hey, I was wrong. Graham, Hazel Sky.
Yeah, Hazel Sky was a game that was shown at one of those indie sizzle reel things I think it might have been an Xbox showcase.
I'm almost positive it was an Xbox One last year.
Would have been last year.
Maybe 2022.
Maybe 2021 even. I'm not too sure
possibly
when it was.
21. I think you
not
might
sure
be right.
when it was. Maybe 20. Yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So basically, it's essentially Firewatch. You remember Firewatch from 3 or 4 years ago, whenever that was. It's basically that kind of game. You play as a particular character called Shane. You're an engineer. You're going through some sort of trial to become an engineer in this particular world the game is set in. And you're basically doing very basic puzzle mechanics to, put things together to progress to the next part of the trial. But also, while you're doing that, you're in conversation with another character you never see. Just like very similar to what Firewatch did. And that's probably where the draw of the game is for me, was that back and forth dialogue that happened between those 2 characters was just really, really quite good. As I said, the puzzle stuff was really, really quite simple. I knocked it off in one sitting of I think maybe 4 hours, and the game, yeah. So it's shortish. It's got really good dialogue between those 2 characters. Puzzles are the thing that would go against it is the puzzles are quite simple. What goes forward is that the game looks really, really good. It's got some really nice art style to it, so it's got a lot of things going for it. I think the thing that probably does against it is the puzzles are just a little bit too simple. But it does have some, like, the story does end up going to where I think it wouldn't necessarily. But yeah, it's a really, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It would be on a top 10 list if I was doing one. It's actually one of the only 2 games I finished. I realised that was the second game I finished last year. So
I was going to ask you that. I thought you only finished 1 game.
Yeah, no, that was as I said, it sort of was a little bit forgettable because of just how short it was. I think if it was actually a bit longer, and if the puzzles were a bit trickier,
maybe the strength of the experience would have been.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe
enjoyable.
a bit longer. It probably would have been a lot. It would have probably set in my memory a bit more. But it is a really good game. I really enjoyed it.
Keep going. Hardware. Oh, sorry, I didn't. I was looking at the list, not looking at you, and didn't realise you were drinking water. Sorry, man.
Yeah, you're right. So Hard West 2 is a top-down, turn-based.
This is kind of XCOM.
This is XCOM sort of game, but it's got a little bit more. It's more in the line of, I think, a game we both played a couple of years ago called Zero.
Zero.
Thank you, that one. So you do have some control of your characters in an open world environment of sorts, but once you get into combat, it turns into XCOM style combat. This game is like it's set in the West, but it's like a cursed version of the West, essentially.
So it's a weird West.
It's a weird West, but it's not that weird.
Not that weird.
Not that weird.
But it's a weird West.
Weird West. So it's phenomenal looking game. It looks really, really good. It's got some really good sound.
I think its greatest strength is the actual like combat scenarios.
The combat scenarios are really, really good. You've got some really. You've got. We talked about a lot of it in our last episode of last year because it was sort of recent in both of our minds. But It's got your standard XCOM. You've got cover. You've got movement. That's a standard thing. You've got abilities that you can use and then have cooldowns. That stuff's in there. The one thing it's got that I think makes it fairly unique, and I think it's a really killer, really great thing to have in the game, is if you kill an enemy, you gain all your action points back.
Yep.
And it's bloody awesome. I can't remember what it was called now. What's it called? Shit, I can't remember what it's called now. It's got a particular name. Is it?
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up for me.
Because you need that.
You need it because there are some scenarios where you need to be able to do this, and it becomes part of your tactical sort of method to get through a particular level that you need to go. Okay, I need to be able to do this because there are some enemies you can take down in one shot, which is because they're so sort of low level. But you can string 5 or 6 of these one-shot kills. Is it Bravado? Is that what it's called? Bravado, I think it's called.
Bravado. There you go. Well done.
It's this Bravado mechanic. So you might move to a location, which takes an action point, or could take 2 action points to move. You then take down the enemy you want to get down. You get your Bravado. You get your action points back. You can repeat that 5 or 6 times, and you can wreck fools. You can wipe out half an enemy sort of thing.
If you play your cards right, get it? Play your cards right? You can literally do the whole mission in one turn just through Bravado.
Just Bravado, exactly.
Through that Bravado system.
Yeah, it is, and every all uses like it doesn't. There's not one turn. There's one character gets it. So if you go to another character, they can get Bravado and do the same thing. So it's not limited to a turn. It's on a per character stuff, and it's a really neat mechanic. It's a really good mechanic that I think tips that game in over, because it's got the standard XCOM stuff where you can just get swarmed with enemies. You go, there's only 4 of us. How the hell am I going to take down 15, 20 dudes, whatever number it is? You go, Bravado, bang, 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 take out half of them in one bloody turn. It's just, you feel fucking awesome when you do it because you go, I nailed that. I did, but
yeah. You definitely need to do that for some of the missions and some of the objectives.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Because you just need to better take down a chunk of enemies really quickly, so you can spend 3 or 4 main of your own characters on the bigger enemies. So apart from that mechanic, which I think does sort of put above most other games like that, to have that mechanic in it.
Yep.
The story is really, really fucking good. The story is so far it is awesome. I've not finished it.
It's written really well.
I think you finished it. You finished it?
I have finished it, yes.
You finished it? I'm probably, I think, about a third of the way through, I think, based on roughly, I think it is. So you've got some really good story, you've got some really good dialogue, you've got some really good voice acting, because I think for the most part it's all voice acted. There's some bits that aren't.
There's some of the more full-screen animated cutscenes that either aren't voice acted or they just broke on me.
Yeah.
And I had no sound to them at all, so I don't know what the difference was there.
And that it is... You do go into sort of dialogue choices in a way. They're not...
There's dialogue trees and choices and stuff like that.
I know, I'm not too sure it's got game-changing... Some things will
not for the combat.
Not for the combat, but I think
in the exploration it definitely has.
Because you can actually choose not to help people and blah, 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 and stuff like that. So it's got some...
You're also developing your friendship.
Yeah, because
then friendship development between the characters, you need to do that through those dialogue choices.
Yeah, so it's got that mechanic to it too. So it is quite a dense game from that perspective, but it doesn't seem to.
But it's massively long.
No, and it also doesn't overwhelm you with the stuff you need to do. So it is a fucking solid game. I'm definitely going to finish that one off at some point. But
I misspoke when I said that Demon Hunters was the best game of that style. It's actually this is the best game of that style this year.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's another game like it, which is, I think we sort of alluded to it earlier. That's actually Weird West, which I think we both played for a bit. It's sort of similar game.
That was more an immersive sim than this was.
Yeah, this one. But this game is really, really solid.
The card system is really good too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, there's this. Yeah, right. So there's other mechanic in the game where you
collect cards and basically allocate them to each of your team members, and it gives them various perks
and stuff.
And abilities. So either you give them Jin needs a full house to be able to access the higher level version of his dual guns busting off.
Yep.
But at a point you have 10 Jack Queen King Ace, so you give everyone a straight flush. or a royal flush, sorry, and then it unlocks damn near every ability they've got. The only
Yeah.
abilities that are locked for some of the characters are behind that
Yeah,
relationship building,
relationships that are levels between them. Yeah.
and like some of them, it's damn near crucial.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
amount of times where I had, what's the Flynn? I gave Flynn a really powerful rifle, and either I think the cards that give you the bullseye chance. I can't remember which suit. So every shot she took had a 30% chance to do a crit.
Mm.
And pretty much every character leading up to the end, if you crit someone, you are damn near killing them every time because she's
Yeah.
doing like 40 to 50 points of damage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was super helpful. Like, you talk about stringing bravados together. Man, I was like stringing together like 6 to 8, 10 chains,
Yeah.
just basically blat, 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 blat.
Yeah.
It's
It's just that like yeah, combining that with bravado and that card mechanic where you can sort of pick and choose what you want to give to your characters. It's probably one of the best of those games ever, not just last year. It is just a top-notch game.
I don't think it quite hits Mutant Gear Zero heights.
Not quite. I think the characters are probably a bit better in New Zero, but also you've got a
I
bit more
like the
control.
ability in Mutant Gear Zero where you walk into a space,
Yeah,
you can walk around the
yeah,
space,
and sort of
figure out your approach,
you can
and
lay
then go for it.
you can lay a trap for your enemies in that game, which you can't do in this
Yeah.
one. But like if they had that mechanic in this game, it'd be fucking perfect. I would imagine for
It'd be
that.
very hard. You'd be very
Very
hard
hard.
pressed to say it's not
It's not one of the best of
among
those.
the best of these types.
Yeah, and I
But
haven't
yeah,
like
hardware's too.
you still get the random number stuff, and you can miss a shot from from next screw across. You still get that stuff. But as I said, like if you then hit them the next time you get bravado, it's now who cares? That was
Yeah.
you're gonna miss shots occasionally. It doesn't seem to be that egregious in that perspective, but yeah, it is a friggin' awesome game. Awesome game.
It's a strong one. 23 hours it took me to get through it,
Okay, yep. So I think probably
and I
maybe
either missed.
you go.
Sorry,
Sorry,
go on.
you go.
I missed the. I didn't get the. I got the achievement for doing all the side content in chapter 1 and chapter 3. So either something in chapter 2 was bugged, or there was something I missed.
Yep.
I can't remember which.
Yep.
But goddamn, is it? It is a very very strong game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'd be very interested to see where that would end up if we tried doing a compiled list of 10. I think it'd be hard
I
pressed not to say it wouldn't be damn near top.
it'd be it'd be probably number one. I would think, if not definitely top
Hmm.
three, if not number
Top
one,
three, I could see it.
because I think we're both very high on it.
Hmm.
So yeah. Lost in
Speaking,
play.
I was going to say, I was going to try and make a joke about High on Life, but yeah, the situation behind that's not worth joking about. Lost in Play, a surprise game that was shown at a show during the Keeleys during the E3 window. I just can't remember which one. I think it might have been EA.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember where it was shown during Key 3 this year, but Lost in Play, very beautifully animated, another sort of 2D, for lack of a better term, point and click game.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a few of these this year, and there's been some really good ones. Again, very well written in a different way than what Lies in the Multiverse is well written, because it takes the concept of children playing, like a brother and a sister playing, and it takes the imaginary stuff they do and conceptualizes it as if they are in that space, in that environment. Like part of it, they're trying to find some. I can't remember what the actual thing they're trying to find are, but they end up in their version, their story, end up stranded in the desert. And the game conceptualizes that to put you in a desert trying to do the. And it's super well animated. It's the story. The story is very well written. The puzzles are relatively, for the most part, well designed to the point where you don't feel like an idiot, but it's also not too easy. So it's just another one of those really, really strong, really good 2D, for lack of a better term, point and click games that came out this year. It's sort of like this and What Lies in the Multiverse and stuff like that straddle that point and click and walking simulator line a little bit. It's there's obviously some inventory management and stuff like that along the way. But again, a very strong one of those. It's not going to make my top 10.
But the art style is also really strong.
The art style is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's like a
and yeah,
Really,
I'm
really.
surprised you never got to this, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I think they during that whatever that thing was, Key 3 was. I think that I did play
Yeah.
the demo of this game, and
I think you did too, yeah.
I think I then probably just forgot the game was coming out and then just didn't get to it. So, I
It
guess it,
stealth dropped. That's part of the reason
yeah,
why.
okay,
It
yeah,
just
okay,
stealth
fair
dropped
enough.
out of nowhere in the middle of August.
So yeah, I've added it. It's on my wish list, so I'll probably will pick it up when it hits a sale at
Mm.
some point.
Um, one of the games out of Australia this
Mm.
year. I'm not going to say the best game out of Australia because I have another, I would say, nominee for that, an actual winner for that. Cult of the Lamb from Massive Monster.
Mm.
This did absolute dirt when it came out. This did really good business,
Mm.
which I'm really
Mm.
happy for.
Yeah.
But kind of roguelike dungeon crawler where you're trying to start a cult that's like a satanic cult to overthrow the devil. Because fuck the devil. But like it's got a really great art style, which I think this year more than a few others in the past has really illustrated that the strength of an art style can carry you so far.
Mm.
Where we used to really be concerned with technical, but that artistic side is really coming through really
Yeah.
quite strong this year.
Mm.
The management of the cult was somewhat Animal Crossing ish,
Mm-hmm.
so there was that vibe to it.
Yep.
You would have like one of your followers would come up to you and go, I think it'd be really funny if you convince this person to eat a bowl of poop. And if they eat a bowl of poop, there's a 30%, 40% chance they'll die. So it's like, hey, they made him sick. Yay! Do it again. So fuck you, you asshole. But then the sort of cave crawling, sort of that style, that combat phase was actually really entertaining as well. It was somewhat simplified. Like it wasn't massively deep or anything, but it didn't need to be.
Mm.
It balanced that sim style and that top-down action RPG roguelike element. It balanced those two components really, really well, and did so in some really clever ways. The exploration of the cult element and all that sort of stuff was really clever and really quite funny as well. Like to the point where, oh no, satanic panic, all that sort of stuff. But it's like, they're cute little lambs. Shut the fuck up. Which I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't get too many media stories about the whole Satanist element of this when it came out, which I'm kind of glad about. But damn, it was a good game. Speaking of good games, Rollerdrome. This was the surprise Roll 7 game that was shown off, I think, during the Xbox showcase, maybe. Very much in line with their art style. But instead of it being a 2D skateboarding game, it was a 3D future death sport where you're on roller skates and with guns. And it was hard to a point. Some points were really fucking hard, but it was super satisfying when you pulled it off. The animation and the graphical style of it was fucking brilliant. It really knew what style it wanted to hit with that. Like, you know when you see futuristic movies in the 80s? Or from the 80s, and that vibe of what does the future look like when people are thinking about what's 2020 going to look like in the 80s?
Yeah.
And now it looks nothing like it.
Yep.
They tried that, and the style is incredibly cohesive and comes together well. It's very, very tight control-wise. It works so well that the difficulty is all down to the combat puzzle. Who am I going to take out and how am I going to take it out to achieve not just finishing the level, but achieve these goals? And because it embeds like a Tony Hawk goal system in it as well, like do this trick at this spot or blah, 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 blah.
Okay, yep.
So it combines a lot of what would seem to be disparate elements into a really super, super strong piece that I loved. I finished it. I went through, I did all of the challenges and got the actual real ending. Because I enjoyed it that much.
Yep.
It's so good. It's not going to do the business I feel it deserves, but it was incredibly good. Midnight Fight Express. I have maybe less positive things to say about this than perhaps you do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
I hit a wall and thought this isn't. They tried doing way too much and making it way too hard.
Yeah, so I've not. It's a bit of a theme for me, obviously, a lot for this year. Is I didn't finish this game, so I've not hit that point. I may have the exact same thing when I get to it.
I didn't finish it either.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think this game just it sort of came out for me, came a bit out of nowhere in terms of its release. I didn't expect it to come out, or didn't know that it was coming out.
Mm.
It's just a, it's just, it's just kind of neat in what it does.
Yeah.
It's got a replay, not a replay, a replayability mechanic to it in that you can try and get a better ranking on it. I wouldn't play it for that reason. I wouldn't do it for that.
Mm.
But it's just got some like it's combat from a isometric perspective. So sort of think like brawling combat if you're playing Diablo kind of a view sort of thing. Um, and you can pick up guns and you can pick up ammo and stuff like that. You can kick down doors and knock people on the other side of it, sort of thing. Um, but I think the one thing I'd probably say against it is it probably, as you say, I think it does get sort of the in the mission stuff is solid. I think the stuff they put on top of it, moment to moment, like outside of that, is probably just a bit too much. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have made my top 10 list if I had one. So it's not that I'm not that high on it. But I think the combat mechanics were pretty solid, really.
Early on, it definitely was. Early on, it was super fun.
Yeah. Okay. So it does.
It
So where does it drop?
Yeah.
Where does it fall down for you? I guess is probably as you played more of it than I did. Like it.
Literally, they just tried doing too much. They tried laying too much on top because there is the most definitely a Sifu, like a sort of isometric Sifu vibe to this because of the hand-to-hand sort of martial arts nature of it lends itself to that comparison.
Yep.
But by trying to do too much and having too many dudes with shields and too many like different kinds of enemies coming at you with different kinds of attacks that just end up you're trying to deal with the dude with the shield who, if you're not hitting him, he just walks up behind you, poof, splats you with the shield and just knocks you over. It just ends up being way too frustrating and annoying to deal with. Like, yeah, I probably could have banged my head against it and dealt with it, but it's like I'm trying to do a better job of going, fuck this, I'm playing something else.
Yeah.
This isn't worth my time.
Yeah.
Where the early parts of it, like, if they had stuck with that, like the first, I don't know, 10, 15 levels, because the levels are all fairly short for the most part.
Really, like, yeah.
Had they stuck with that through the whole game,
Mm.
fucking would have worked fantastically. I almost would have enjoyed it, maybe more than Sifu.
Yeah, fair enough.
But they tried doing too much. They tried being too cute with it by basically going, hey, try and take this shield dude out. While trying to take out dudes that have swords, bats, brick, rebar, hammers and shit.
I haven't got to that point, so yeah. If the game becomes frustrating to play, then obviously walk away from it. But
and I said this at the time when I said I fell off it and all that sort of deal. It's not like I'm adverse to playing hard games or anything like that. Like I'm probably
you're playing Elden Ring for fuck's sake.
80% of the way through Elden Ring, and I finished Sekiro, finished Bloodborne. Like,
that's the
Roller was fucking hard.
Difficulty games aren't a negative for you. No.
You can be hard. A game can be hard, and I can enjoy the fuck out of it. It's when it stops becoming hard and becomes unfair. It felt unfair. Like Elden Ring, for as hard as it is, very rarely does it feel totally unfair. There are times where maybe odds are stacked against you to give you a bit, to make you feel that sense of overwhelmedness. But this tried doing it in a way that just did not work for me. Yeah. It pissed me off, and I'm just like, you know what, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, great idea, but unfortunately,
also the other thing that it did sort of pull me into the game initially was the beginning story stuff is pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The setting for it is good. But yeah, if it gets to that point where that sort of stuff happens, then yeah, I can understand why you would drop off it. I mean, I may or may not get back to it, but yeah, but I think it's a different type of game. Like that type of game
you don't see many games. Like, there haven't been too many hand-to-hand combat style games like this year. It's basically this and Sifu.
Yeah, exactly. So and
for the most part.
Yeah. No. Anyway. How do you pronounce the next
We've got
one?
a couple games left of August, and then I think we're breaking again.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Hark got its 1.0 release in August last year. Again, another fantastic indie Metroidvania game.
Okay.
I think Haiku is better than Hark is, but Hark did some really interesting stuff with traversal abilities and stuff like that. Had a really unique look to it. and it just played really well. There's only so much that you can say about like these Metroidvanias that are from indie developers. They play really well. They have an interesting look.
Mm.
They're for the most part well written, and from an audio perspective, they're fairly solid.
Mm.
Like you're trying to sit here and expound upon why Huck is fantastic outside of it feels great. The traversal's really fun. When you get into combat, it's not piss easy. It's not brutally difficult.
Mm.
You will get punished if you fuck up and get lazy or you start just trying to mash.
Mm.
But if you play it right, then
Yep.
you're not going to have the issue of this isn't fun or
Mm.
this isn't fun because I'm walking through them.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's just a really good one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teenage exocolonist. Might be a game you might enjoy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a card element in that. It's sort of like a life sim, where you pick yourself a teenage character and you're on this exocolony where they've had to get off Earth and go to a different planet because Earth's been fucked into the dirt. And you go to school and you develop relationships with people and you help the colony you're on in different ways and just stuff like that. And then like you get different cards to try and make choices. And you can pick specializations for like school subjects and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it tells a really strong personal story. And it's just a really, really interesting version of that. Like, I think I got through my run of it in about 5 or 6 hours,
Okay.
top of my head.
Yep.
And you could, were you so inclined, you could go back through it 3, 4, 5, 6 times with the different characters and the different backgrounds and stuff like that to have that story play out differently.
Mm.
I prefer just doing it the once and going, this is my story. This is how I've played it out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on.
Yep.
But a very strong version of that sort of concept. I think you might like it.
I was looking at the art style doesn't particularly get me if I was just looking at it on Steam a second ago. So
I think it looks really good, but I think it is a very, yeah. It's not as good as some of the other games we played this year, but it is very, very good. World Fighting Soccer, I'm not 22, I'm not going to spend too long on it. It was like $2, and it was way more fucking fun and way better than it had any right to be. You played a World Cup football match against a dragon from outer space. It was fucking great. It was fun. Moving on. Yeah, it was $2. People definitely should try that out just because of how fun it is. And you can easily abuse the scoring mechanic to win if you know how to what you're doing. Chip the ball up, follow it up, bang, blad it into the goal. Easy, done. Moving on. Tinykin is our last game before the break. I've heard it sort of described as Tinykin's kind of like Pikmin, but if Pikmin was more focused on being a 3D platformer and sort of closer to a collectathon than like the sort of strategy component that Pikmin actually is. Really solid, really tight control, just really fun to play and actually like run around and do stuff in the environment. Again, some really great puzzles to try and figure out what to do. I did need to look a couple of things up because the process to get to it just didn't quite make sense to me. But some of those puzzle mechanics in certain games don't make sense to me sometimes. That's just the way I'm programmed. But the graphical style is fantastic. There's some really clever, I thought there were some really funny parts in it that I really enjoyed and had a bit of a laugh at. It is in my top 10. It's just going to scrape into my top 10. There's probably about maybe 8 different games I could have in Tinykin's place.
Yeah, yep.
But it is a very strong game. Like, if you have any inkling towards 3D platformers or like the Mario 64 Banjo, that style of game from back in the day, you are really going to dig Tinykin.
All right.
And that's August.
So that's August. That's basically the first...
That's the second trimester of the year.
Second third is what I was trying to look for. The word I was looking for the other day. Earlier. Second third of the year.
I like trimester. It makes it sound like we're trying to make it... I'm not going to finish that thought. I was going to say it's going to make it sound like we're trying to make a baby, but wait a minute.
So what we'll do now is I'm going to do my YouTube channel of the year. I normally do a sporting thing of the year, but sport just didn't really do much for me last year.
Yes.
Even though it did have some big sporting events that just they weren't particularly thing. So I've basically a lot of time I spent this year when I wasn't playing games, I wasn't playing a lot of games, was basically watching YouTube. Because funny enough, when you find stuff on YouTube, you can find really good stuff on YouTube. Obviously, there's a lot of shit on
Yeah.
YouTube, but once you find some
Yeah.
stuff that you like, that gives information to what you want, you can get some really good stuff. So I've got some categories. I've done 3 or 4, 5 or 6 categories here. Tech is actually there's is Gamers Nexus. They're a channel been around. Look, none of these channels aren't going to be particularly new to people. But yeah, so Gamers Nexus and Jay's 2 cents, they're just sort of Jay's 2 cents is more of a tech building site, like he builds PC builds for people and stuff
I
like
read
that.
that as JC 2 cents.
Yeah, anyway. And in
Right
Gamers
on.
Nexus, they're like a more of a news site. They actually reported on the EVGA people pulling out of graphics card. They have that sort of stories and stuff like that. So they were pretty good. Gaming wise, I've had Let's Game It Out. That's a guy that he's I'm not sure what his second name is, but his name is Joss. He basically breaks games. So he tries to get like for example, he went Astroneer, the game that you and I have played for a bit,
Mm.
and basically tried to put dynamite everywhere he could and blow it up, and the game just shanked frame rate rise, and eventually the game crashes.
Sweet.
So he basically tries to break the mechanics of the game. Like he did a couple on Satisfactory where basically he built drone ports everywhere and had like 100 drones, and it was just doing this big spiral of drones, and it just completely yeah, he's actually very the game's what he does is very very funny. He's actually really quite good. And in fact, even the fact I think he actually was asked by Coffee Stain Studio to send his game save to them so they could figure out to kind of fix what it was
Yep.
sort of doing. So people do use it along that. Skill Up's actually an Australian guy who runs a Patreon. I'm a member of a Patreon of his. And he just does pretty much what we kind of do, but he does it on a much higher level because it's his job, and this is our
Mm.
hobby. So he spend more time on it, but he's got producers and stuff that help him. But yeah, he's gone to E3 and stuff like that. But yeah, I found him initially. He was really big into the Division when it came out 5 or 6 years ago, and that's where I actually found him as a content creator. But he's then moved sort of morphed into this sort of stuff. Sport. A couple of them are based in golf base. Rick Shields Golf is a big golf channel on YouTube. He does things like driver, reviews and stuff, which I'm not particularly cared about. But the big thing he does a couple of series where he goes and plays golf on courses around the world, and to see that some of these courses are amazing. So that's really cool. On the road
I
with
keep forgetting you're into golf.
yeah, I'm into golf. Yep. On the road with
I
Guyane
keep
is actually
forgetting
another
that.
golf one as well. She's actually a presenter on the UK European tour, and she just does sort of more documentary style pieces with other people around the world. So she's really good. Kim Ilman. Now he's actually a photographer who does F1 photography. So he's like
Oh, cool.
that's what he does as a profession. But most of his videos are like travel stories about how he gets around the tour, around the golf, around the circuits sort of thing. So they're really really good from a just to understand how the sport works and stuff like that. And he must be doing very well from himself because he goes like long distances and he's all first class and business class. So he's obviously doing very well for himself.
Nice.
So they are there from a travel perspective. They're just more travel videos than anything. But yeah, that's his sort of connection. Music. There are two music channel here: Rick B. Beato and Mary Spender. Rick Beato is a producer from years ago who's done some pretty big stuff, and he just sort of does a lot of commenting on music and stuff like that. And I think he's more in line with my musical taste, which is why I like him. And Mary Spender's a bit the same. She's actually out of the UK, and she's just a really good solo artist who does her own channel, but does some really nice music. The Doco section is probably the one that I would say is the best channel, the section for me. It's one
Mm.
where I spend a lot of time in. The B1N is a really odd name. I don't know why it's called the B1N. It's all about construction. So it's skyscrapers and massive infrastructure projects, and he just discusses them as a video, and they're really really informative about how construction's made, why it's doing it, environmental impacts of that kind of stuff. So it's really quite good, and it probably would be the number one channel on overall that I found this year. Brick and Mortar, Brick and Mortar, Plainly Difficult, kind of I want a better term. They're a bit sort of dark because they're reviewing disaster events in a way. So Brick and Mortar will do primarily around the ones that I've seen so far have all been sort of nautical sort of events. Like a ship gets lost at sea, and the various proper bodies will investigate it. He'll then do a deep dive on that thing and report on it, and they can be like an hour and a half long each one of them because they get quite depth. So they're
Yeah.
really good. Playing the difficult is a lot shorter than 10 to 15 minutes. And they're just basic historical disaster events like dam walls failing and water that sort of thing. And they can be he does a little bit of humour in them, which can be quite interesting. So Bright Sun Films, he does a lot of stuff that is like abandoned malls and stuff. He finds them and walks through them and stuff like that.
Sweet.
And also, which I don't know how they find them, how they get in without being caught, but that's also a different thing. But he also does a lot of series about companies going bankrupt and how they got to bankruptcy and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. And Pointless Hub is one I've just recently found, and he will review movies and movie series in a really sarcastic way, and just does a lot of shit talking. I mean, he's really funny. That's where I sort of found
Mm.
him. He did a really good one on all those Sharknado movies that were out a couple of years ago now. He said, I watched all these movies so you don't have to kind of stuff, and it just
Oh,
really
that poor
funny.
bastard.
Yeah, really funny dialogue and how he writes them. And the last one is, I know this might seem odd, but lawyer stuff on YouTube is actually really good, because you get the first one, Legal Eagle. He's been around for a long time, and he's a general lawyer, so he'll do stuff like he did stuff on Trump stuff. He's done stuff on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. He does a lot of stuff like that. He'll explain the legal process and that sort of stuff. Law for Masses with Leonard French. He's a copyright lawyer. He hasn't done a video for a couple of months. So I'm not too sure what's happened with him. But he'll cover things like the GTA stuff we've heard, that GTA copyright stuff, the dance copyright sort of stuff. Because he's a copyright lawyer, he knows how to interpret copyright law and stuff like that. So when something big happens in a copyright sense, I tend to go to his channel, and eventually, might be a couple of days later, he'll put up a video about that particular thing happening.
Yeah.
And Hogue Law is the one that was the original sort of lawyer channel I found probably nearly a year and a half ago now, and he's the one he went deep dive into the Apple versus Epic stuff. He's
Yes.
like a 30-40 video title on that, so he deep dives. He'll read through the entire lawsuits and highlight stuff. He's really good. Although sadly late last year he suffered a stroke, and because he's
Ooh.
based in America, he's got a long road to recovery and an expensive road to recovery. So so he's really good as well from that perspective. Hopefully he'll come back, but not too sure when he'll be. So yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at YouTube channels this year, and this list of ones I've just presented here are the ones I spent a lot of time looking at. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically my personal list of this year.
Sweet.
So let's jump back up
All right.
and let's do the last third of the year, starting with Justice Sucks, and then we'll get to your ordered list at the end of that.
Word. So, Justice Sucks. Remember how I said Cult of the Lamb wasn't the Australian Game of the Year?
Oh, this is Australian, is it?
This
This game?
is.
Oh, okay. Didn't realize it was
This
Australian.
game is from a team in Melbourne.
Millball. Oh,
Samurai
okay.
Punk. Basically, you are a robot vacuum cleaner that is killing fools. Um, it's super satisfying. It's really fun for the most part. There are a couple of mission types that aren't as enjoyable. I did a checkout for this early in the holidays. I think it might have gone up early January, perhaps, where I checked out Justice Sucks. This is technically their second game. They had Roombo First Blood, which was a sort of proof of concept demo, and
Okay.
then they made this.
Yep.
But yeah, you just have a lot of really interesting tools that are just really fun to like go around the level, hide yourself, but then use these tools to just fuck with the different invaders or robbers that are in the different level environments that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super fun. It's super satisfying. It is a game that I would like to have been able to jam into my top 10 somehow. It's not going to make it, sadly, because, like I said, with Tinykin, I could have had maybe, and we're getting to the games that really could have taken its place.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Justice Sucks is definitely one of them.
Yep.
Betrayal at Club Low is another one of them. How the hell do you describe Betrayal at Club Low? you're kind of going into this club to investigate I think it's it's been a while since I played it. You're investigating a drug dealing situation off the top of my head. And you have to go to this club called Club Low to try and figure out what happened and how and why and all that sort of
Mm-hmm.
deal. Now, some of that is involved talking to the different people at the club. It involves doing different jobs for them. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
chef in the kitchen where you're trying to help them design and develop meals and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, I did fail my first couple of times playing it and ended up sort of, for lack of a better term, game overing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
Yep.
the last time I went through, I got it got one run completed, and you get ending, and there's more endings than that and
Yeah.
stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep. Yep.
There's more ways that can play out. I hit most of what could be hit in that, so it was more just a function of okay, my version of this story is done and played out.
Yeah.
I'm I want to move on.
I'm happy with that, and I'm going to move on.
That does
Yep.
not Yeah, and there's a reason why I'm happy with that, and it was super satisfying. It's really well written, but I feel I tend to run out of steam on things sometimes quickly, or sometimes I'll force myself.
Mm.
I don't do multiple run throughs of a lot of things. Rogue Legacy 2 is the only one that's different because the multiple runs are part of a much larger picture.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Um, but yeah, Portrayal at Club Low is fucking fantastic. It is a game that nowhere near enough people are going to hear about, let alone play.
Mm.
But man, it is good. It is very, very good.
And
And it's
just
got a real weird sort of drug tripped
yeah. Okay.
style.
Just also, I'm just on the Steam pages for both that and Justice Sucks, and there's a demo for both of them on there. So if you want to
Yep.
try it out, go for that.
Easy come, easy golf. Number one, name. Number two, this was the clap hands golf that was on iOS for Apple Arcade.
Oh, really? Oh,
And then they
okay.
put
Yeah.
it on the Switch under a different name.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
So it's everybody's golf on the Switch. They've
Mm.
put some different mechanics into it to make it's not as saying as the career is not as straightforward doesn't do it justice because it's not in so much as you pick a character, you play through a career as that character.
Mm.
The tour mode is you're getting different characters to play each hole. So you're building a golf team, and when you let's say you play 9 holes, eventually you have 9 characters, and you're picking one of each to play each hole.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So it's less of an individualized thing and somewhat becoming like a team thing. If you've played a clap hands golf game in the past, you know exactly what to expect, which is why I dig it
Mm.
because I enjoy those clap hands games. There's not really much more to be said about that, really,
Mm-hmm.
outside of hey, it's pretty cool. It's like $20-$30 on the Switch,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a bit expensive for what it is, but
Mm.
there's a lot there. There's a lot
Okay.
of content there. I haven't even come close to scratching the surface on it.
Mm.
Metal Hellsinger. I've got it in here for 2 reasons. One, because of the rhythm style gameplay working so well in that first person shooter environment.
Mm-hmm.
It works way better than it has any right to. And number 2, the soundtrack is actually really, really good for the most part.
I'm actually surprised it's not on your top 10. I thought this would be a game up your alley kind of thing, but obviously it didn't quite stick the landing for you. So yeah.
It's parts of it didn't quite stick the landing, and the soundtrack, for as much as I enjoy the soundtrack, it's also a little too mellow death for me, melodic death metal, which is a genre.
Mm-hmm.
I could sit here and break down what that means and all that sort of stuff, but I'm way more into like deathcore, slam, hardcore,
Mm.
brutal death, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't quite hit that, but the song with Alyssa White Glues, I think that's her name, from Arch Enemy. The song with Matt Heafy from Trivium is really good.
Mm.
And there's a song with Serge Tarkanian from System of a Down, which is the final boss fight. That song's really great.
Mm. Okay.
That final boss fight's a bit of a fucker as well. It's kind of there's elements of it that don't feel particularly well explained, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
But it is incredibly enjoyable up to a point, and that point is about that last boss fight, maybe a bit before it.
Yep.
But yeah, the music on it, and there's a couple of real surprises. Like it's got the singer from the band Refused,
Yep.
which I wouldn't have expected him to be in a game that's very mellow death.
Mm.
It's got Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Dude loves him some Dark Tranquility. Because that's the singer from that band is on most of the boss fight songs.
Yep.
Outside of the Surge one, the Surge song is great, but so is the Alyssa White Glues one. I've game passed that. I wouldn't pay more than $20 for that in retrospect. But perfectly solid. I think it's still worth playing if you have any interest in metal music as a whole.
Mm.
If you don't have interest in metal music, though, I would find it very hard to recommend. The rhythm stuff is fun. I think people have modded it so you can put different music in, though.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
But yeah, The Wandering Village early access came out this year. Graham.
Yeah. So this is a game that appeared on my radar probably I think early last 2022, maybe late 2021. Can't remember when I first sort of saw it. It's a city building game, like a lot of the games that I like these days. But one thing that sort of sets it apart is you are operating, maintaining this village on this back of this giant walking creature. And that walking creature, you can sometimes control where it goes, but otherwise it just sort of goes on its own path. And it will walk through different types of environmental areas, like it'll walk through a desert. Therefore, that fact of walking through a desert now affects your crop growth, your that sort of thing, your water, creation kind of stuff. But also, because you're on the back of this creature, it's sort of you feeding it means you get things from the ground. It grows up through your environment, and you can basically farm it in a way and use it in a way. But also, if you do that too much, it doesn't like you and then won't listen to what you wanted to do. So it's got this really nice balance to it, from a sort of that sort of thing. But it's a really solid city builder. Like you're drawing your roads, you're plopping down your buildings you want to do. You've got to make sure you get materials for the next level, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that sort of mechanic of it just wandering along, and you can zoom out to have sort of a wide view and sort of see what's coming up. You eventually put down a I can't remember what the particular building is, but essentially it's a search party. You can send out to do sort of expedition raids and go out and get go to this location and get a particular item from it, or go to this particular area and get water, get materials and stuff you need. You also, as you're wandering along, you can pick up more citizens for your city. You don't actually you don't make new citizens anyway. You've got to collect them along the way, sort of thing. So it's got a couple of neat little mechanics. It's in early access. I probably played it for probably close to a couple of hours. I think maybe 3 to 4 hours.
3.7.
3.7. There you go. I haven't gone back to it this year, but they are now putting out a pretty big update, I think, a couple of weeks back. So I'm going to let that settle in for a bit, and then I'll probably jump back into it and just see what they've done to it. But visually it looks really neat, and I think the soundtrack's pretty good as well, from sort of my vague memory of the music. But it is, yeah. Yep. I thoroughly enjoyed that game for what it is. I will probably leave it for a bit, get into 1.0, then jump back into it, and fully finish it when it's fully baked. But I haven't had any issues with bugs or anything like that I've sort of come across. So it's pretty solid as well for early access. And yeah, it's a really, really good game. I enjoyed it.
Currently on special for 20% off as part of Steam's City Builder Fest.
Oh yeah, they're doing a Steam Base Builder Fest, and it's probably going to finish up in the next couple of days. Maybe it might be done by this episode.
5th of February.
But yeah, it's
5th of February is when that sale ends, or at least the Fest, and then the games will probably be on sale for a bit.
Yeah, so the Fest ends in a couple of days.
I might nab the early access on that when done here. Return to Monkey Island. Monkey Island back in his bitch. How far into it did you get?
Not that far. I think
you fell off, or just
just I enjoyed what I played of it, no doubt about it. But I think I just started. I think that might have been when I started playing Anno, actually. So I think it might have been that point. Might have been the Wandering.
There's BA and AA before Anno and after Anno.
And there's obviously Satisfactory. Yeah. So yeah, I just found other stuff to play.
Return to Monkey Island. It's probably the strongest. Saying the strongest of the point-and-click games of this year might be a bit of a disservice to stuff like What Lies in the Multiverse and that sort of deal, because of how strong the writing in those are. But I think there was some doubts as to whether or not Ron
Gilbert.
Gilbert, thank you. I almost said Ron Howard. I'm like, wait, that's a dude from Happy Days.
Yep.
Whether or not Ron Gilbert could actually bring this back, and for some dumb fucking reason, the art style was really divisive. I thought it looked
I think it looks.
fantastic.
I think it looks fantastic.
I
But yeah,
reckon it looks great.
when that sort of first trailer went up for that game and the art style was revealed, it was it was a love or hate thing for most of the. There wasn't many, but I don't know why there were people that hated it. I don't get that at all. But
I mean, people are stupid. Let's face it. We've
Yeah.
discussed this many times. This is yet another one of those examples for me where the art style is a replication of what you think it looked like back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't make or it doesn't do much with the Monkey Island games that came after the first two because they weren't done by Ron Gilbert. Ron Gilbert stepped away after Monkey Island 2, and then came back for this. Now, I'm not going to say anything about what the actual ending is, other than to say the ending was disappointing.
Okay, interesting.
But the concept, looking around on the Steam discussion boards a little bit and all that sort of deal, seems to be a little bit more of a discussion of it's not about what you get at the end of the destination. It's the journey to that destination that's really good. That's the strongest parts of it. That's a concept or a viewpoint I guess I agree with pretty well for this game. Because I do feel like the way it ends, it doesn't feel like it resolves the story or the thing it's actually trying to lead you through. Or it does, and it just sort of, in some regards, you could almost say it does it in the most fucked up way possible, where Ron Gilbert goes, oh, you wanted a new one? Here's the ending. Fuck you. But, like, you could see humor in him doing it that way if you so choose.
Yeah. But just to sort of say, like,
I dug it.
Yeah, visually it looks really. As I said, we both think the art style is really good. The puzzles I've seen so far haven't been too bad, but then I'm so early in the game I can't really comment on that overall. The voice work seems pretty solid from what I've played of it so far.
Yep.
And the music's good as well. So yeah, it's got a lot of things going for it. But yeah, for some reason, why the art style was so sort of divisive, I don't really understand. But yeah, it's a game we'll definitely get
the
back
art
to.
style for that Link's Awakening remake for the Switch was divisive.
Yeah, I guess it's just...
the internet can be a fucked up place most of the time.
Yep.
On the home stretch, with the last notable game for September, Proteus came out in its 1.0 state. Again, much like I've said a couple times, remember that concept of, hey, makes it look like I thought it looked back in the... Proteus does that with Doom.
Okay, yep.
And there's a really awesome fluidity to the movement that makes it feel like what Doom felt like back in the... or what you remember Doom feeling like back in the day. The weapons are really, really all quite fun to use. The shotgun has some oomph behind it, which is... if a shotgun is shit in a first-person shooter, that's the first sign that game's kind of shit, to be honest.
Yep.
And it very much has just that Doom mentality of, there's a bunch of enemies sometimes coming at you, but it's always able to be managed. You're always able to overcome what's coming at you if you make use of the tools you're given and the weapons you're given in the best way. And like, sometimes when you're done in a combat arena, it's just dripping blood. And I was like, yeah, this is fucked. But... yeah, it's got a phenomenal look. Like the first-person graphics they pull off.
I'm just looking on Steam. Yeah, I can see how you'd say it's got how you thought Doom looked like back. That sort of that concept. I can see that for sure. So many enemies actually look very similar to some of the Doom enemies as well. So
very much so. They're heavily inspired by Doom. This is another one of those games that I was gonna try and squeeze onto the list, or onto my list, but I couldn't justify it. But man, what a good fucking time it was. And people have been doing dirt with the mods and the level design tools too.
Yeah,
I haven't checked any of them out yet, but there's some really cool stuff in there from what I've seen. A Plague Tale Requiem, the sequel to A Plague Tale Innocence, which I need to get to at some point, or would like to get to at some point. Graham,
game. So this is when 2022 started, there were two games that I was looking forward to, well, amongst others, of course. One was A Plague Tale Requiem. The other one was God of War Ragnarok. And you'll note there's one game that's not on this list, and that's God of War Ragnarok.
I haven't played it yet, so I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, that's fine. Of the two games that have got obviously similar kind of games, they're narrative driven, essentially first person games. I prefer Plague Tale Requiem over God of War Ragnarok. And I've played roughly the same amount of each at the moment, so I've probably played 3 or 4 hours of each. And I just clearly both games look awesome. They're graphical powerhouses in that perspective. I just prefer the story and the characters of Plague Tale Requiem over God of War.
Yep.
And the gameplay mechanics of A Plague Tale are more in the stealth side of the equation rather than the for that combat that God of War can go that has done. So, and this game has a lot of it just ticks a lot of those boxes for me in terms of the look of it, the audio, the dialogue, the voiceover work, and I just prefer to play A Plague Tale. Even the first game, I prefer to play it over the God of War stuff. So yeah, it's a really solid game. I've yet to finish it, and I do plan to finish it. It's on my list to finish in the first part of this year. But yeah, it's a solid game, and it's definitely worth. You probably don't really need to play the first one necessarily to play the second one, but it certainly does help. And I think
I've got the first one reinstalled on Steam that I want to look at.
I think they even might do a previously on kind of a thing as well when you first start up the second one if you haven't played. Which I think a lot of sequels should do that, by the way, just as a statement.
Particularly if there's a lot of time between the first
one, yeah, exactly.
Precursor and the present.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, what I played it so far, and we'll definitely get back to it. So, and if I had a top 10 game, it would be on it without a doubt.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm looking at trying to maybe play Innocence, maybe in the next few weeks, because that's a fair bit shorter than this too. Because Innocence runs between 8 and 12, whereas this hits about 20 to 25.
Yeah, this game has
everything I've read.
I would, based on what I've played of it so far, this game does appear to be significantly longer than Innocence was. But yeah, you knock off Innocence in probably half a dozen sittings, I reckon, easily.
Yeah.
This one might take take a dozen. Yeah. Yep.
Word. And Requiem's on Le Game Pass.
It is. That's it. Yep.
Terror of Hemosaurus. If people have kept up with the YouTube channel, they will notice I accidentally did a full playthrough checkout of this, and it is live on the YouTube channel. If we had a best surprise category, I would be fighting so hard for this fucking thing to win, and I mean that in all sincerity. Like, this seemed like a joke, sort of like, haha, what if we do a modern spin on Rampage? But it's so fun. There's no way it should be as good as it is. Like, you pick your dinosaur, or like whatever, and you're just walking through, smashing up buildings, but like watching the physics on the buildings, because you don't see it at first, but each building is made of an individual block. So as you smash the buildings and watch them fall, you see the physics behind the actual blocks and how they tumble and all that sort of deal. And there's a real satisfaction to just walking down the road, stomping down the road as your dinosaur, and you can just punt these fucking like random citizens halfway across the screen and just let them go bleh, and splatter the ground. It's super satisfying, and there's like, it knows when to split it up and go into these different little vignettes that maybe build onto the story, or different little mini games that do a little bit of expansion. And there's some really good dumb references in there, like both self-referential and referring to like the sort of Godzilla style movies and all that sort of stuff. There's a real sense of knowingness to what they're doing, what they're making, and what their inspirations are, that make this so surprising that I would never have picked like this being as good as it is. Like, you tell me that I can sit there, punch buildings till they fall down and watch it fall down and it'd be funny. And yeah, of course I'm going to like that, because that's just dumb entertainment and that's just fun. But for like this to turn out as well written and as like fun as it was across an entire where I was going to be like, I'll just play the first half hour of this and we'll see how it goes.
Mm.
I couldn't find a good natural stopping point because I was enjoying myself so much that I'm like, oh, well, we're past like an hour and a half, 2 hours now. Fuck it, let's just finish it. And I did. So it turns out that that's another full playthrough we've got on the YouTube channel. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I've not even heard of this game. I'm just looking at the same Steam page for it now, and obviously my thought was Rampage. But yeah,
Yeah,
you
can see its inspiration from Rampage.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I do like the name of their they've got a soundtrack as a DLC you can buy, and it is the Terror of Himurasaurus soundtrack. Songs in the key of This is really clever.
And that's in keeping with the sort of style of writing and all that stuff in the game. It's super clever. It's just really, it's a really tight, really solid package that unfortunately I couldn't quite squeeze onto the list.
Yeah, no, it's
but yeah,
it does look quite good.
Is it on a special or anything at this point?
No, it's not at the moment. It's still full price for both its main game and the DLC.
How much that?
1850 Australia currently for the main game.
That's not bad. It's not... So 15 US. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Hey, Marvel Snap.
Marvel Snap.
Marvel Snap's really good, y'all. I've put in 60 hours on the PC version, and again, like I said I haven't touched the phone version since I've been on holidays. But like at least once a day, I will boot up Marvel Snap. I will do the daily challenges and try and knock off most of the New Days Season Pass challenge, and then that'll do me.
Yep.
But we all know how deep I got in the Supercard. This is better.
I'd like to hope so, if I'm honest. I'd like to think a Marvel game would be better than a WE game, but that's just me and my biases against WWE.
There is the really, do either company have a better business practice? It's hard to say right now, particularly right now. Don't get me fucking started on him.
WWE, you can't compare Disney WWE. Sorry, no, you can't. From a business perspective, no, you can't.
But Disney's buying up everyone, and Mickey Mouse is a prick.
At least they actually can treat their employees like they're actually employees.
Well, yeah,
and
let's not even go there.
Arseholes either.
I don't know, man. Have you seen Mickey Mouse on South Park? Oh man, the way they portray Mickey Mouse is great. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Marvel Snap other than the fact that it's a fucking phone game that I've played 60 hours on the PC version of. And like, so when I explained it to you the first time, I actually explained like the power level part I explained wrong. It's technically the collection level, which is how many cards you've got, how many times you've upgraded and all that sort of stuff. My collection level is now like 2,200.
Okay, yep.
So like, it's going up there. So yeah. It's fucking good, and it's on my list, and we'll see where in a bit. Warhammer 40k Shooters, Blood and Teeth. Very English in its, you can tell from the title, very English, because that's where Warhammer has its base. Dual joystick platformer, side-scrolling platformer shooter. I did a checkout for this as well, I think early in the holidays. I can't remember specifically where, but just good, solid fun. Like, it's just good, sort of, in some ways, dumb fun, because you're just this orc and you're running from left to right, shooting up stuff, and he goes, "Wah!" and then shoots stuff. And it just has a really great art style. It's just got big, dumb metal music in the background, just riff shredding. And yeah, it turns out I might like Warhammer.
There's 2 games of Warhammer on the list, so yeah. Just
not like the actual desktop version of Warhammer, because that'll be too complicated for me.
Just not its core root of what it is, yeah.
Yeah. Vampire Survivors has... When we talk about Vampire Survivors, I played that game in like a 3... If you include the DLC, I played it in basically cumulatively across 3 weeks. About 1 week for the DLC, 2 weeks for the main game, 55 hours.
Okay.
The number of times I damn near went to bed late after work because of that fucking game. Because it's just so easy to just go, nah, fuck that, I'm going one more run.
Yep.
And like when you combine the different weapons you get, the way you combine those weapons, the way the different upgrades work to like do like for you to do more damage, and then the Arcana and all the different cards you get and the different upgrades you can get through that, and all the different unlocks. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 159 achievements. I have them all. Because obviously playing it for 150 for 55 hours across 3 weeks, basically you're guaranteed to get that. Plus, I've played more than Mike's played 95.8 hours of that game. Mike's really getting into idle games lately. The whole game is literally you move the dude with a stick.
Okay.
Like you literally use the left stick on. Like you can use mouse and keyboard. I prefer just the analog stick, and it's just such a good game. It's that idle. It's a slightly more involved idle game with like Power Wash, where it's you're just moving around, and each run is at most just over 30 minutes, depending on how long it takes for you to kill death. Which, if you run it long enough, you can have like 5 or 6 or 8 deaths on screen, and then you kill them all, and it's fucking awesome. Because you just become this whirling dervish of death. It's great. Anyway, second to last game on the list, Graham.
Yeah, so Soccer Story is not made by the people who made Golf Story a couple of years back, or is it Sports Story, the new one? I think it's called Sports Story. It's obviously in the similar vein.
We'll talk about Sports Story next week.
Okay, yeah. So Soccer Story is along the same lines. It's got some pretty good writing, and you're basically trying to resurrect so in the world that you're in, soccer is banned. You can't play football, so soccer, and you're basically trying to start up an underground soccer series in a league and sort of
that
stuff.
Sounds alright.
It's a really neat storyline, sort of concept and story setting. What the downside of the game is that it's the moment to moment stuff is a little bit grindy, and is not that engaging. But there is some fun stuff in it, and you try to basically.
How's the actual football?
Very basic, fairly basic, but not too basic. Like it's not
in a bad way though.
Not in a bad way. I think the soccer's itself pretty good. It's actually that's not the weak part of it. I think the weak part of it is just some of the moment to moment sort of challenges you got to do to progress things are a little bit fetch questy. Like there's a lot of like go and do this 5 times, go and do this 10 times kind of stuff. So it's a little bit, there's not a lot of variety in the nature of those particular things. But I have enjoyed it. It's on Xbox Game Pass, I'm pretty sure. That's where I think I got it from.
It is on Game Pass on PC off the top of my head.
So I'm enjoying it. And as you progress through the game, you're unlocking more and more of the environment to do more things. So I haven't gone back to it for a little bit, but yeah, I did enjoy what I played of it. But I think the thing that would probably make it a bit of a grind is just some of that challenging stuff is just not particularly engaging. But the story itself is really kind of good actually, and the settings quite good as well. So yeah.
Our last game, because we've done this in release order, came out on the 14th of December last year. Little Gator Game. Remember how I said Lost in Play like really culminates that idea of you're a kid, and it just fully conceptualizes that. Like by artistically portraying that.
Yeah, yep.
Little Gator Game goes the other way and basically shows like the imagination side of, hey, here's some shitty cardboard cutouts of like a bush, because that's part of the adventure story they're telling, and go.
Yep.
It's kind of linked between what was this? God damn it! How do I not remember this? It was one of my games of the year. It came out. Breath of the Wild. Thank you.
No.
It's a much more condensed version of Breath of the Wild.
Fuck, did you forget that?
Fuck off and leave me alone. It's a much more condensed version of that, just on a much smaller scale. But you have that exploration, you have that climbing component, all of that sort of stuff in service of these kids are just playing. Have developed this game. They're playing this sort of role playing story. They're playing and getting other people to play with them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's something that probably shouldn't work as well as it does. Again, But yeah, and watching, if you don't have the headband on the dude so he does a Naruto run, watching the little gator walk run around like he's got no knees is hilarious. He waddles almost like a penguin. So that was 2022.
Yeah.
And that
So,
brings us to my top 10, which is at the top of the list.
yeah, so I think we just quickly 48 games we've just gone through for 2022,
Yep.
and there is
I took out a few.
yeah. So I think we started with about 55 or 56. I think when we
Something
first
about
started,
that,
something
yeah.
like that.
I cut a few, which, yeah, here's what it is.
Yep.
So my top 10, starting from number 10, Tiny Kin, Strange Horticulture, Hard West 2, Rollerdrome, Sniper Elite 5, Neon White, Vampire Survivors, Marvel Snap, Rogue Legacy 2, and my best game of 2022 is Elden Ring.
Mm.
Which, I don't know, you go back and ask me 10 years ago, would I have put a From Souls game as my best game of the year? I'm like, probably not.
Probably not. I mean, you do, yeah.
But
now
Elden Ring is...
But now that you play a lot of them, all those types of games, it's
Yeah.
not surprising that we'd get to a list like that. Because Neo was high on your list, I think, wasn't it, that year?
Neo was high on my list.
That year,
Neo
yeah.
2 probably would have made my list. Maybe. I think it didn't make it last for 2021, but it was close. And I put over 100 hours into Neo 2. So, and then there's Wo Long coming out soon, which is Chinese Neo.
So, what's your view of the year gaming-wise in terms of, was it good, bad,
This year
indifferent?
coming or last year?
Last year.
Well, I mean, the number of games on here would suggest it was a pretty good year.
Yeah, we would suggest that. Yeah, for sure.
When you look at this, for lack of a better term, the source of that list, of the items on this list, indie games were much, much stronger and more numerous than AAA.
Yeah, I think that's
This year is a AAA murderer's row.
So this year, I think what I think we're starting to see now is COVID pandemic hit in massive AAA games massively hard because of their scale. I suspect they're working in offices and in studios and stuff like that. Whereas obviously indie stuff, they were working from home remotely before it was fashionable to do
Which
so.
is typically what they do anyway.
Because that's what they do to keep their costs down, etc., etc. So I can. That's where I think it was is that most of the games coming out were those indie style games because they were just easy to. They didn't have to transition to a COVID world because they were already in it, sort of thing. They were already running like that. Whereas I think we're now starting to see that the bigger studios, bigger games coming out, they struggled. They delayed a lot in 2021 and 2020 into 2022, and we're still getting some delays now. But I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the bigger games coming out this year. And also we'll get into it next year, into next week, because we'll go in our anticipated games for next episode. But yeah, there's a lot of AAA stuff coming out in the first part of this year and into later in the year that would have, if pandemic hadn't come along, would have been out by now essentially.
Yep.
So it's just I think the bigger developers are now basically catching up with what they've missed out on. So, but I think you're right. I think ultimately a solid year for sure. But not.
It's not going to go down as an all-timer with the exception of something like Elden Ring.
Not a spectacular year, but a solid year for sure. But as you say, the indie space, triple tier B, whatever you want to call that, non-AAA stuff. They definitely held up their end of the bargain and put out some stellar games last year for sure.
One of the most popular games of 2022 cost $5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
People went bonkers for that, particularly after it came out, because it was like, yo, this game's like fucking $4. What the fuck? And it went nuts. The only problem with that, I tried doing a recording of that, and there's some bitrate issues, which makes recording it an absolute motherfucker.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that's why there's no checkout or anything up on the YouTube channel for it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was 2022. I think 2023 is going to be an all-timer.
Has the potential, for sure. Yeah, obviously it'll come down if those games as long as these games come out, of course. But yeah,
like the reviews for Dead Space hitting in the last couple of days, that's held up its end of the bargain. It's really come through.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, with the stuff that's coming, like we went through it last the end of the year podcast. Just every fortnight now for the next month and a half, 2 months at least, there's something big that's interesting or hopefully cool from a AAA perspective or that bigger studio perspective coming out.
Yeah.
And that's nuts.
Yeah, for sure. And as I said, that doesn't cover the stealth drop of a game out of nowhere from an indie developer. Fuck, where'd that come from? And it takes the world by storm for it.
And there's already been a couple of those. Like there's been at least 3 or 4 Stealth 1.0 releases just in the last week. Sorry, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I've played a few of them and done videos for a couple of them too that are coming. So that was Game of the Year.
Yep.
That was 2022. Bring on 2023. By the time this goes live, I'll have been at work for a day. And I'll probably be shattered and damn near asleep by the time this actually goes up. Who can say? Next week, we will do an episode where we catch up on what we played mostly between...
Pretty much everything else that didn't get onto this list, essentially.
Pretty much everything else that didn't get mentioned here and the stuff we've been playing beyond that.
Yep, beyond that.
And then we'll be back into the regular schedule of recording a video every other Sunday and then a podcast...
The other Sunday, alternative Sundays.
Yes, alternate Sundays between podcast and video. That probably would have been a better way to say that. So check your podcast feeds, check the YouTube channel at least every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check the Facebook, and hey, if you want to play against me in a fighting game, Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 4, Tekken 7, and maybe even Mortal Kombat 11. And people checking those out know what the Twitch is. I'm not going to say it here yet. Maybe we'll see how we go. You good?
Alrighty. Yep, we're good.
That was a Herculean effort.
Yep, that was a big one. That was just over 3 hours. I think we'll probably end up cutting a little bit in terms of cutting out some stuff, but 3 hour recording. So we're going to play the outro music. We'll see you all in a week, and thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.